get all of it sorted out, and then we can make a start on this stream. If I can actually find it, which takes a bit of time, because YouTube decides that when it decides that it wants to show the stream, it decides that you have to constantly re-enter and enter until it actually appears on the live streaming section. And I want to find that. There we are. So yeah, I can find the Stylish stream, and I can view it on the watch page, because it's a lot easier to do that. Right, now I can put this up. And yes. Right. So that's up. Now we can get back to business. I'm just going to make sure to put it on the screen so that if I need to talk on the chat, I can. But yes, been a while since I did a stream. I've been working a lot on Painkiller recently, and I've also been working on one of my reviews, which will be up. It's scheduled for the 20th of June, so you'll probably be able to see it then. And yeah, once you see it then, like, yeah, I'm not going to give away what it is exactly, but you'll find out.
How about you and I take a dip in the baths later? Really? Yeah. Yay!
Okay.
Join us? No. Out of the question. We won't be able to have a peaceful bath if he's there.
Yeah. So, I have a lot to talk about in this stream. I'm going to probably have to bring up my website for this one, because I've got notes on my website talking about stuff. Yeah, he just stands there, like, a lot of the time. There's 3 private actions here, and I want to see if I can get them. I want to try and do some side quests, mainly because, like, you really do want to do some side quests in this game. You really do. And I haven't been playing Star Ocean 5 much, simply because, well, I've been playing Nier Automata, and that's led to some interesting things, because what's happened with Nier Automata is that... Oh, I see. It's one of these, isn't it?
Nothing. It must have been a figment of my imagination.
But yeah, like, I've been playing that game, and I've kind of bought it on hold now, in case you didn't realise after my last stream, mainly because I want to finish it when I have more time to finish it, if that makes sense.
I am a child, so for the moment, people dub me such things as genius. When you're a kid, everyone treats you like a prodigy. But once you grow up, they treat you like just another person. I fear the same thing might happen to me.
Probably.
They don't listen to you, do they? It's a serious issue for you, but no one seems to care. It's okay. I wasn't as smart as you, but I was also called a genius as a kid. Do I look like just another person?
You are an excellent researcher, Fiore.
You're even more of a genius than I am. Believe in yourself some more.
So, yeah. That's basically the gist of that, and the same thing's going on to happen for Odin Sphere as well. So it's not like that's the only game that's going to be put on hold. I'm putting all the games that I'll be reviewing next on hold for quite a few reasons. Ooh, I got a sword in the manual, which is really nice. I want to find out what that actually is. Is that a... Right, so yeah, there's a thingy. I see, it's air slash, so I can upgrade that. But I might see what Victor can, if Victor can get it, because that might be handy to have. Yeah, she can learn electric fists. Like, usually I level up Emerson first, but if it's alpha, then I'll probably end up teaching her electric fists, because it sounds like I don't really want to use it long term. So yeah, I'll probably just teach her electric fists, because I want to use different moves with Emerson, because he's good at powering on that damage. And yeah, Miki, well, I don't really want to teach her any Well, I could teach her fairy healing. That's something I could definitely teach her. Why I haven't taught her that already, I don't know. But Reaping Spark might be handy. I can't think of anything. Oh, you just get Aurora Rings. Alright, I'll just put them all into Reaping Spark then. And yeah, that's basically that. But yeah, I want to focus mostly on Victor in terms of like his combat, because I really like using Victor the most. Out of all the characters, he's probably the most fun to play, if you ask me. Probably because he's very much like Aramat was in Star Ocean 4, in the sense that he has some really crazy moves, like, and I mean crazy. Now, I don't even know what these side quests were. I keep having to go back to see what they were. But yeah, there's a few things that have happened. Like, I've just finished watching a video from Bryant Chambers, of all things. While most people... like, I can't read on this little standard definition television. Collecting the metal that plays second fiddle. I'd probably need to look at my quest log for a more clear thing as to what that is. Alright, so I can get that. That looks pretty good. Ah! Yeah, I want to do that. Definitely want to do that. But that means I have to go all the way back to whatchamacallit. But that's fine. I can do that. But yeah, I was watching BC, and he's actually seems to have gotten back into gaming now, which is really good. Like, I'm really glad to see that he's back, because, like, I mean, his life coaching stuff is cool and all, but, like, I don't watch YouTube for life help. That's not what I want to watch YouTube for, personally. Like, I want to watch YouTube for recreation. And I did mention to him that, like, the best platform to do that sort of thing on would probably be, well, not exactly YouTube. Because the best platform for that sort of thing, you want to do it on a platform where people don't expect entertainment, and there's a lot of people who want entertainment, and that's really not what people look for on YouTube. But he seems that he's gotten a lot of people, a lot of followers. Yeah, I should really start guarding. Oh yeah, everything's after me now, aren't they? So yeah, I need to actually start thinking carefully as to what I want to do. Yeah, that's better. Whoops. This ain't going well. This is chaos, by the way, in case you're wondering, so... it is chaotic. But yeah, like, I'm glad. And the game that he's been playing, in case you're wondering, was Nier Automata, the game that I've just been streaming. Which makes things even more interesting. Yeah, this guy's dead. He's the only one left. But so is Relia, apparently. She's dead as well. I really need resurrection magic. I really do. Skills, let's get some... oh, I don't have the ability to get rid of poison, do I? I'll have to use an item. Aqua berries. There we go. I'm not sure whether to bother using fresh sage on Relia though, because... yeah. But yes, there's been a few things that I've been doing. Like, I've been playing some Mount & Blade. Like, how can I not play some Mount & Blade? I mean, I watched the PC Gamer E3 thing, even though I don't usually watch E3, just seeing there's a release date for Bannerlord, because I already know that Bannerlord's amazing, and because I've played Mount & Blade Warband. It's just more of that. That's enough for me to play Bannerlord, because that's where all the new mods are gonna be. That's gonna, it's gonna have, like, sieges and stuff. It's gonna be basically Mount & Blade with more, and you can't go wrong with that. Like, with the amount of playtime I've had in Mount & Blade, I really should pay for more. I should have paid more for that game, and I don't have a problem with paying for more of the games if it offers me more. I mean, granted, it is the modders that offer me it, but like, I think out of all the games that I would say paid mods would actually be a good thing to have. Like, granted, like it would be kind of shitty if everybody did this, because money motivated. You know, you want to be giving. I still want that givingness, obviously, but I could accept paying for mods in Mount and Blade. Like, for example, if you were in the process of making a mod for Mount and Blade, I wouldn't have a problem with like charging, like having people charge me for playing the. Oh yeah, I think she automatically heals. I wouldn't have a problem with paying for Mount and Blade mods if they're good, and that's the thing. Like, we already kind of do, like with Viking Conquest, and it's marketed as DLC. But like, if the mod is good, I don't mind paying for it. Just that's the thing. Like, there's a lot of mods that have problems, and like even Viking Conquest has problems, and you pay for it, which it kind of leaves me salty. But if you didn't pay for the game, then it wouldn't be a big issue. Like, as a mod, it's a fantastic mod. So that's the thing to consider, like with modding, like paid mods, that when it comes to paid mods, you really want to. Whoops, don't want to take too much damage. Oh shit. But with paid mods, you have to consider the fact that modders don't really have anything such as quality control or anything like that. They don't look at things like that. They don't have QA teams in their games. So you can't exactly expect to charge for mods. When you buy a mod, you expect it to have bugs, you expect it to have issues, but you go in knowing that. That's what makes a mod a mod. I need to stop actually messing around here, because it's actually serious business. Yeah, that will sort them out. And like when you're charging for mods, you have to keep that in mind. If it's a product, you have to have some sort of quality control. You have to have some sort of quality assurance. You have to know that the game is worth the player's money. Like, you have to make sure that it's bug free. And I know it's difficult to do that, but if you're going to charge for it, then that's what you really have to try and do. Well, you know, you can't just charge for a mod and expect that people don't care, because, like, whether it's broken or not. People will the moment they spend money. The moment money's involved, everything changes. The party's over. Like, it's like, for example, if I charge people to read my articles on my blog, nobody will read them. Mainly because my blogs just don't have any value. But you know what? Oh crap, look at this. I'm not paying attention to what's going on here. Right, I'm gonna heal Fidel here because I think he needs some help. I love how it's playing the boss theme as well, so shit. It's the quest that I'm doing here. Yeah, I just need to get rid of this guy. That'll do. That's better. But yeah, that's the thing about paid mods. It's important for developers to understand the difference between, well, not developers, but for modders to understand what makes mods, like, what makes it possible to charge for mods. Yeah, that really screwed me, did that battle. I don't even know if she has any ability to resurrect. I don't think she does. No, she doesn't. That's pretty bad, so I have to use Fresh Sage. Well, it's not big of a deal. Like, I can always restock when I get to the next town, so it's not that big of a deal. It's not like I'm in a serious dungeon. I'm only doing some side quests and stuff, so. But yeah, that's my views on paid mods in a nutshell. And like, I would pay for a very good mod of Mount and Blade. I just want people to remember that I'm not going to pay for shit. Like, if your module has lots and lots of bugs in it, I'm gonna tear it to shreds if it's not good, because the moment you start charging for it, it's a game. It's like Painkiller Overdose. Like, you have made a game. It might be a game that that's based off another game that uses the same engine, but you know, like Shadow Warrior has the same engine as Duke Nukem. Does that make it a mod of Duke Nukem? You know what I mean? Not necessarily. So you can't exactly expect to just simply charge for mods for that reason. Like, people play mods, and modding's a thing because they're fan games. And if the moment that you charge for it, it doesn't become a fan game anymore. It becomes something you charge for. It becomes a product. But like I say, some of the mods, if they had more time put into fixing the bugs, I would definitely pay good money for them. Like Gecko Kujo, for example, is a mod that I would spend money on. Like, but it obviously I couldn't do that. But like, it's one of those mods that I probably would consider spending money on if it was not free. I mean, I spent money on Viking Conquest, so I didn't get it for free. But I didn't mind it. It's still got problems though, but it's a mod for Mount & Blade, so I don't mind it. Like, the thing about Mount & Blade, and the thing that a lot of people, I think, still don't get about why it's so amazing, I mean, it is the Skyrim killer of Western RPGs, because with Skyrim, you are limited to the scope of the story, like the main plot arc, and that's basically what you're limited to. With Mount & Blade, you can be whoever the hell you want, and you don't really have to serve a specific purpose in the plot, like being a Dragonborn. You can be whoever the fuck you want. You have the world is your oyster, and it offers. The only game that offers more freedom than Mount & Blade is D&D. If you want more freedom than Mount & Blade, you want to just play Dungeons and Dragons, and I mean pen and paper, like Dungeons and Dragons. Like, that's the only game that's going to be any better than Mount & Blade in terms of freedom. Like, so if you're a fan of those games, or you don't want to play Dungeons and Dragons because you want a more computerized version, Mount & Blade is the next best thing. And it's not just that, the armies that you can control and the scope of what you can do with it really makes it a brilliant game. And probably, in my opinion, I would say of last gen, it's probably the best game of last generation. Definitely. It's one of those games, like, that keeps gaming alive, that keeps gaming running. And a lot more games need to look at what Mount & Blade did and start thinking, we need to do that. We need to actually start doing what they've been doing, because they know, Tailworlds know their shit. They really do know their shit when it comes to what to do as an indie developer. They are, like, they're not indie anymore, but back in the day they were. Like, they are an example of an indie developer that succeeded, and I want people who are indie developers to be encouraged by that game. I want them to use that game as an example as to what success is. Use that game as an example of, like, realistic success as an indie developer. You're not ever going to, like, Mount & Blade still doesn't oppose the AAA because it doesn't have the marketing. And you can't ever hope to be like that unless you get lucky like Minecraft did. But, like, Mount & Blade is a niche game, and indie games are generally going to be niche. So you have to be aware of that. But once you get your audience, like, I watched that PC Gamer, like, I watched that conference, and everybody was screaming Bannerlord. They were so excited for that game, it was the biggest game. So really, that's what you are looking for. That's what your goal is when you are making a game. Your ultimate goal when you release the game is for people to pretty much be people who are shouting your game's name out loud at E3. That's what your goal is. And it can happen. Like, publishers ultimately have the biggest voice, but don't forget that the consumer themselves have a voice as well, and the consumer's voice can be very strong and powerful, and it's especially important because they're the people who buy the games in the first place. Like, with Mount & Blade, you get, like, so many modules that you can play that I don't see a reason why, like, anybody would not like Mount & Blade. I personally cannot. I understand if you're not a fan of RPGs and you don't like that, but I mean, like, another thing about Mount and Blade is that unlike most RPGs where you can just grind to win, you can't just simply grind to win in Mount and Blade, particularly if you play on the higher difficulties. That game's going to kick your ass, no matter what level your character is. Your character's level means nothing in the grand scheme of things. Like, you can be level 50, and you can still be a weakling because you have a crap army. Like, you want to have a nice, like, really strong army. And the thing about it is, you might argue, oh, you just level up your army and then that's it, you're super powerful. Well, what if one of your men dies? What about if one of your men in your army dies? Then you've leveled them up for nothing. Well, not really, they've served their time, but like, the party members you level up don't live forever. It's kind of like Fire Emblem sort of thing, but like, in the sense that you have to be careful with your group. Like, you need to make sure that your men are taken care of, because ultimately if your men are shit, you are going to struggle in Mount and Blade. So you have to really focus on building up an army, and that means there's a lot of management involved, and it makes... Oh, right. It makes for a really good experience, like, if you're into that. Is that silly bang advert? Bang, and the dirt is gone. But yeah, that's the thing about Mount and Blade, and that's what I've been playing. I mean, I don't know if I might go back to Viking Conquest at some point, I don't know, might do that. Might be playing more of that, but at the moment I've been playing Gecko Kujo because it's interesting. I just like the fact that you can use katanas and shit, like, that's really cool. And I actually play an archer, kind of. I actually don't use a katana, I use a nagamaki, and I use a waryumi, which is a bow. And the reason why I'm an archer is because enemies don't have shields, which makes it a lot easier. So I thought, yeah, I'll just use a bow this time, screw it. And I normally don't ever play as an archer in Mount and Blade. I usually play as a melee type character, or like I'll play as cavalry, or so that sort of character. Usually I like to play infantry, but I do have a cavalry because it is handy to have one. And yeah, just gonna see what PAs are around. But that's basically just a Mount and Blade. Like, it is the best Western RPG of all time. Like, I think that is one thing I will definitely say. Like, yes, it does beat Diablo, in case you're asking. Like, it really is it's a phenomenal game. I think that the private action is over here. And yeah, I do strongly recommend it to anyone who wants a Western RPG. If you're not into Western RPGs, then it might be for you, but like I say, like, it depends on what you're looking for. Like, as I say, everybody likes specific genres when they're ready for it. Like, when you're ready for a Western RPG, go get Mount and Blade. You won't regret it. Just go get that. If you don't want a Western RPG, like, I really hate them for some reason. Or like,
You here? Kitty? Kitty?
You like sleeping in warm
Alright.
places, don't you, Kitty? Do you feel snug? Is that nice? I like warm places a lot too. They're cozy. I hate cold places. I like being with everyone more.
but yeah, the whole idea of it is that if you're looking for a Western RPG, like, if you don't like Western RPGs, well, it's very different from most Western RPGs. It's not like Skyrim where you have a main story. Like, there's no main story. Like, if you're looking at a game where you can seriously personalize and immerse yourself, if that's what you're looking for, personalization and immersion into the world, like, you're gonna love the game. Like, you want to be you can be you.
You Wear something skimpy, huh? No problem. I have one in exactly your size.
I'm fine.
Some kind of accent around your neck would be ideal, but I don't think we need it.
I'm sorry. Please, just give it a rest.
Yeah, some of the PAs in this game are pretty hilarious. But oh crap, that was bad. I should really have gone the other way, but oh well. I suppose I can see what's going on in Mizulia. But that's basically what I have to say on Mountain Blitz, in case anybody hasn't already played it already. Like if you wanted to play it now, you missed the sale on the original. Like, you missed the freebie of the original, which did happen a few days back. But yeah, I really do like that series, like, all that game, like, brilliant. Like, I have over 500 hours on it, so that says it all. Like, it's my second most played game on Steam, but my most played is Space Engineers, because I like building ships and shit, but I haven't played that in a long time, whereas I have played Mountain Blade in a long time, so, yeah. But, yeah, now we're on Star Ocean 5 again, which, it's nice to see this game again. Like, I haven't been playing it for a while because I've been trying to do other things, but now I can finally play it again, which is really nice. It's really good to finally play it, and I'm still getting private actions that I didn't see the first time round. I love it when you play a game and you don't see things like you saw like the first time round. Really cool stuff, and because there's just so many private actions in this game, like, it's very hard not to see, like, it's very easy to find new things that you didn't see before. Like, there's tons and tons of private actions in this game. Like, so many of them, it's ridiculous. And there's always something new. And that's what I really like about this game. Like, it has replay value in that way. Like, kind of the other Star Ocean games, they didn't have as much private actions in a way, at least from what I've seen. And I just found that they didn't have as much replay value for that reason, to me. I don't know, but maybe it's because I didn't do certain private actions, but like the ones that you, when you're walking and you get some tons and tons of cool private actions that you might not have seen when you're walking, like, it gives you something different to see when you're exploring, story-wise or character-wise. It's just something funny. Like, I don't care what it is, as long as it's something. And it is something to see. So it keeps things fresh. I mean, admittedly, it would have been nice if you could carry over your stats and stuff, but like in the Tales series, but Tri's never have done that. They're always like, if you want to play a game, you have to play it hardcore, you have to play it on a higher difficulty. It's like Battlefield Val 2, you think, oh, wouldn't it be cool if I could take my Dylan with like tier thing. But then the game's like, nope, you have to play it on 50 Crystals difficulty, and you have to basically play it where every enemy can kill you in basically one hit. So you have to position yourself perfectly. Like, it's ridiculous what that game did with its difficulty. But with Star Ocean, I haven't replayed a Star Ocean really before. This is probably the first one that I'm thinking of replaying. Well, I'm in the process of replaying it now, and I've gotten further in this game than I have any Star Ocean game when it comes to replaying it. So really, this might be the first Star Ocean I fully replay. I think it will be. Well, actually, no, I have played this again. I played the Japanese version, so yeah, I have replayed it, but that was for other reasons, obviously. So this will be my third playthrough, which is kind of crazy to think about. But yeah, this is gonna be my third playthrough of Star Ocean. That's pretty awesome, and it's pretty awesome that I'm enjoying this game as much as I am. Like, another thing I want to bring up is that, like, last night, I had a talk with Shintai, and it was about the Tales series, talking about stuff, like, mainly just talking about stuff about the Tales series, and I want to bring a few things up about, and I said this to him, but this is my view on the Tales series, and I'm bringing this up now because, well, I'm playing Star Ocean, which is Tales' main competitor, and yeah, I don't think I want to go into that black hole on Chaos difficulty, but Like, the Tales series, to me, it's not the same as it used to be. And, like, regardless of whether you like where the Tales series is going now, it's not the same as it once was. And I think we can all agree on that one. Like, Shintai brought this up, and he said that the the Tales series has lost its, like, each game in the Tales series seems to have lost its identity simply because the art style is the same every single time, every single game. And I agree with him. I think that reusing that art style is not good because it makes every game look very much the same sort of thing. You want to give your game some identity. Look at this game, Star Ocean 5. The art style, it's not like, it's kind of got that really crisp, realistic look to it. Whereas Star Ocean Until the End of Time had kind of like a more anime look to it. Like, it was kind of like, it kind of had this kind of like, well, how do I explain Star Ocean 3? It kind of had a more, it was less real looking, if that makes sense. Like, the character models really look sharp in this, whereas in Star Ocean 3 they look very smoothed out, if that makes sense. So you can tell that there's a distinguishable art style in both games. A lot of people would say Star Ocean 4, yeah, it's kind of similar to this in a lot of ways, but I think this game is a bit more crisp than Star Ocean 4 in a lot of ways. It is a similar art style, I won't deny that. But I think with the character models especially, they are considerably different in Star Ocean 5. Like, and as for the world art style, I think they've gone for more realistic look than Star Ocean 4 had, whereas Star Ocean 4 kind of had a really, kind of like a bit like Infinite Discovery had, like, really vivid colour. This game kind of dulls it out a bit. Like, as I say, it's not, when I say dulls out, it's not a bad thing. That's just its style. Remember that. It's just its style as to how it does things. Oh shit. Yeah, I was anticipating that, but it was a power attack, which wasn't good. And let's finish him. Oh, he's already dead. What a shame. But yeah, that's the thing about it. Like, the art styles of the Tales series are becoming the same, whereas this game, like, the Star Ocean series has always kept, like, it's always focused on its artwork, and it's put a lot of effort into it. Not just the graphics, a lot of people think it's graphics. No, like, there's games which have better graphics than this. It's the art style that they focus on, and they want to bring the most out of it, and they do. Whoops. Crap. There's this guy over there. And what they did with the art style in this game is, well, they focused a lot on the draw distance. Yeah, I really should focus on blocking those spells, because you can block spells in this game. That's one thing that's important to note about the blocking system. Like, magic can be blocked, and you want to block it at all times. But, like, that's the thing that I really, really like about Star Ocean. It's focus on the visuals, and it just makes everything stand out. Like, the moves that you use in Star Ocean are very well animated and very well designed. They just have that. It's like a spectacle. Like, Valk Profile 2 did it as well, where all the attacks that you do just look like they just look amazing. Particularly the Soul Crushers in that game. But in Star Ocean, it's like every attack has that look to it that really stands out. And like, when you're playing a Star Ocean game, you know that you're going to have some really flashy moves, and it just makes the game just all the more likable. Like, for example, you can see, like, I have this huge, massive, charged up shot, and then I fire it, and then you just see all these particles, and it just gets crazier from there on, whereas a lot of the Tales series, they try and keep very simple. I mean, the Tales series do a lot of things right. I'm not going to say that it doesn't. But I will definitely say that I am burnt out of the Tales series right now. And it's mainly because it seems to try and do the same all the time. And it's starting to do more the same all the time now. Like, it's come to the point where everything's starting to be very samey, aside from the combat system. That's how Tales series is starting to become. Like, the whole, well, aside from like the gameplay, and maybe like obviously the story is different each time, but like the actual art style is the same sort of thing, like, and the music is the same sort of quality. I would argue. Like, a lot of people would argue differently, but I've always argued the music isn't. It's okay, but like some Tales games have some really good soundtracks. Like, I like Abyss soundtrack, and I like Fantasia's soundtrack, and Symphonia has some good songs here and there. It's not the most memorable soundtrack of them all in that sense, but it has some nice songs here and there. But the best soundtrack of them all, and yeah, I'm gonna go back to Dakarv, down the Dakarv passage to get the side quest done. But the main thing the thing about the Tales series is that it's very much focused on its gameplay, and that's what it focuses on the most. So when you play a Tales game, you know what you're getting into. And while it does a good job of what it doesn't strive to be anything more than it is. Its focus on gameplay is primarily the main focus, and it's all good, but like I think as an RPG, like you kind of expect more, and I've come to expect more now. Like with games like Star Ocean 5, it's difficult to look at games like the Tales series anymore and see them. I don't even know if I have. Do I have? Oh no, I don't. Right, I'll just use blueberries then. Oh no, blackberries. That's what I need to use. But you don't have games like this anymore. Like, you have plenty of Tales games which are very much the same, and I find that the Tales series is just a bit too afraid to try something different and new. Whereas this game kind of tried something new. And Shintai actually says that Zestiria tried something new, but only in the combat. That's the only time Zestiria tried something new. Like, everything else they didn't bother. Like, they weren't trying to revolutionize JRPGs, whereas this game was, with the whole cutscene thing. It didn't pay off, because the masses didn't like it, but like I thought that it had a lot of potential having the seamless cutscenes. I thought they did, but not everybody liked them, and I know why, because they don't have a skip function. And like if they thought it through a bit more, they could have made something out of it. And it was really cool in certain situations, like the war battles that you get in this game are really awesome. And like comparing this game to Zestiria, like Zestiria is a freaking joke compared to this game. Like it really is. Like this game has like instant, you go into a battle the instant that you approach the enemies, and all your characters are on screen at once when you're running through the fields. Like you don't get that in Zestiria. You get maybe a couple of characters out there, but like they did that. Like the reason why they did the whole spirit thing was kind of like so, or whatever it's called. I forgot what they call it now. But the reason why they did that was so that it made things easier for the player to actually maneuver around. Like it made it easier for them, so that it wasn't so hard for them to get around. If that makes sense. Like, well, not really. It wasn't like it means that it was easier for them because they didn't have to try hard. It's like having all the characters. That's what it was all about. Like they could have done more with Zestiria, and they really didn't. Like you could tell that they were just trying to just throw out another Tales game, and it's so painfully obvious when you look at how long it was in development. Like we literally got Exilia 2, I think, if I can recall, the year before we got Tales of Zestiria. It's just like it's become a yearly thing, and I don't see why games should be yearly release. Like I don't get the whole yearly release thing. It's like Call of Duty. Like what's the whole idea with it? Like you want to make a quality game, you put time into it. Now I'm not saying you have to do a Duke Nukem Forever and take forever to finish your game, but you want to invest some time into making your game, and it's so obvious that Tales of Zestiria didn't do that. I can see when a game's trying and when it isn't, and this game is trying. Sometimes games get it wrong. Like that's the thing. This game got it wrong for some people. I liked it though personally. I love this game, but some people don't. Like if I didn't like this game, I wouldn't be playing it right now. I'd have been done with it. Like, but I'm still playing this game, which that means something. I really do like this game. It's really fast paced. Like, and that's part of the reason why I really like this game. Like, it never feels monotonous to play. Like, you're always going through fast paced battles, and it's really awesome how you're doing that. In a way, it's a bit like Nier Automata, where you're constantly going through fast-paced fights in that game as well. Like, it's that same thing. Like, you never feel like side quests are a burden, because the gameplay is so fast-paced that you get the side quests done very quickly, and side quests actually become quite fun in some cases. Well, I will say that the side quests are more fun in Nier Automata than this, definitely, but the side quests are still playable without any big problems behind them, so I don't really see any issues like with the side quests in this game. Like, a lot of people do, but I don't, just simply because they get it all done within a bulletin board. So you can actually, if you have the items required for the quest, you just need to just hand it in, and then you've basically done it. If you've done the quest before it was on the bulletin board, you can just hand it in. Like, or like, let's put this, well, you get the gist of it. Like, the bulletin board makes questing less of a hassle. Yeah, I actually really should target the ones closer because I can use that big thunder. And I missed completely, which wasn't really good. But that's the thing about side quests in this game. I will definitely say they're not that big of a deal, but it's mainly because of the pacing. But when I look at the Tales series, like, it's still the same, and it doesn't seem to want to try anything different. It doesn't seem to want to change much at all. And aside from the gameplay, that's the only thing that seems to want to change in it. It seems to think that the games are perfect when they're kind of not any, like, they're not perfect. There's always improvements that can be made in every game. You've just got to make them, and, like, people expect sequels to be better. People want sequels for a reason. Like, if you give people a sequel and the game's already perfect, like F-Zero GX, like, I don't even think a sequel to F-Zero GX is needed. Just give us an expansion. Like, give us a remake, and with this remake, add new stuff. A bit like Star Ocean Trillion Times Director's Cut. Just do that. Like, maybe add another Grand Prix with some new tracks, or track editor, some new vehicles. Like, there's so much potential for F-Zero GX to continue, and this is where I really wish that DLC was a thing back on the GameCube, because if F-Zero GX had DLC, I would buy the freaking season pass, because, like, I want to play it all. I want to play all that DLC. And, like, when you see how DLC is being used now, it just feels so shallow.
Ted, you and Fidel go way back, right? What's his relationship with you-know-who?
They're like a big brother and little sister to each other. No, wait, it's the other way around.
So they really are like that.
Hold on there, ma'am. Does that mean you got your sights set on Fidel?
No, I already have him set on someone else.
You do? That someone wouldn't happen to be dependable old big brother figure me, would it?
I'll
Really?
add you to the list of candidates.
I think he just got owned. But, yeah, that's the gist of what I think about it, and what I think about the Tales series.
While hitting on some women, I learned a lot of people think something's odd with this war.
Is that so?
For
Trying to
example,
justify himself.
they're wondering how those advanced weapons appeared out of nowhere, and why Rasulia can't stand up to them.
And what does all this have to do with hitting on the locals?
Don't underestimate ordinary people. They already realize how peculiar it is that Rasulia has been upstaged, and by a nation with much less martial prowess than this.
That still doesn't explain what this has to
For
do
some reason, my controller's kind of
This is incredible.
moving
This is
down
great.
for some reason.
Gotta gather more intelligence.
But yeah, that's just that. Interesting way to gather intel. So, but I want to talk about other things. Like, as I say, I want to talk about Exilia and Graces, and a lot of people really like. There's people who like Graces' combat more, and there's people who like Exilia's combat more. And really, with the way I look at it, and I'll just watch this Bavash and I'll talk more about it, but yeah, the way I look at it with Graces is that I think that they were trying to do something. I see exactly what they were trying to do.
Hey, Fidel! Guess what? Frogs can jump really far. They go boing, boing, boing. It's amazing. They're fun to watch. I
Someone's
showed
easily
you
impressed.
a little bit ago, and she went boing too.
that seems like something that was written out of Mad Libs, like written with Mad Libs, but like basically, I find that Tales of Graces had some issues, and it's mainly, and it's not. I do see what they were trying to do with Tales of Graces, but at the same time, it screwed up a few things. Like, I'm just going to go in here to heal, but it screwed up a few things with the AART system. I think the AART system wasn't the best way to deal with the problems that Tales of Graces had. Like, well, not the Tales of Graces, but the Tales series had. Like, I get that you want to remove normals from the game, I get that. But there's removing normals from the game, and there's adding another type of, like, move that, like, the thing that annoys me the most is that they added, like, weaknesses and resistances to AARTs and BARTs, so you pretty much, like, if you wanted to, you know, use your maximum potential, you were, like, the game encouraged you to just spam either one of those arts, pretty much, because of all that. But yeah, this is going to be a bit rough, because these guys are no joke. Well, actually, I think this one isn't, but the ones later on are pretty tough, so you have to be careful. Usually you want to take out the magic guy first, but I can deal with these guys. I could have probably taken them all out with one special attack if I wanted to, so it wouldn't have been that big of a deal. But yeah, I don't think I can open that yet. No, I can't. But yeah, that's just a side quest that I was going to do. And I do want to go back to, whatchamacallit, so I will be doing that, and I'll go back to Rizulia, but I'm going to go this way, because I don't know if Welch has a quest or not. I want to see if she does. But yeah, that's basically just, like, I really think that the AARTs was not the right answer. What I think they should have done is, instead of having normals, and instead of having AARTs, just have arts. Just have regular arts. And I think Star Ocean should do the same thing as well. Instead of just having normal attacks, have lots and lots of different attacks, and have them all be special attacks. Instead of having, like, mana cost, just have regular attacks, but have them be, like, the arts attacks that were in, like, for example, Air Slash. Like, that's just a basic attack, not just an art. Like, the whole arts and normals, like, the whole idea of that needs to go, and they need to replace them with just arts. And you basically, it's a bit like Valk Profile 2, you don't have any special attacks besides the finisher, which is basically the same as a reserve rush in this game. But in Valk Profile 2, the attacks are still really cool to use. They don't need to have, they don't cost MP, and they don't need to be considered any form of arts. So there's no reason to, like, you don't need to play, you don't really need a game that focuses on arts too much, if that makes sense. Like, you want to just try to, like, make every attack the same. That way, well, not by the same by that, but you want to categorize them as the same. That will get rid of the problem. And instead of having weaknesses and resistances to specific attacks, just basically have, like, just have elemental weaknesses and resistances. But, well, I think what they need to do with the weaknesses and resistances, it's kind of an old sort of deal, really. It's kind of an old situation. Like, this game, for example, has the rock, paper, scissors thing that's going on, and I think we need to find another way. I mean, for now, keep them, but I do think there is a potential to find another way to add strategy to these games. And what needs to happen is we need to find that way, and then encourage more variety in terms of play. Now, but I'm not saying get rid of elemental weaknesses and resistances, but having, like, AARTs and BARTs as weaknesses and resistances was just stupid. And the thing about AARTs that rubs me the wrong way is the fact that if they worked like regular arts, then that would have been fine, but they don't. They're like a string of arts. How, like, you have, like, you can literally mash A and make a combo just by mashing the A button. It's that simple. And a lot of and this is where it's kind of, like, conflicting because a lot of people would see that as a good thing because it makes it easier to build up combos, and I can see that. But personally, I think it kind of I want to focus on more experimentation, and in terms of experimentation, Exilia does a much better job of it than Graces does. Like, it has a lot of room for experimentation. And another thing that I like about Exilia is that if you use an attack over and over and over again, the damage that you deal is weakened. I'm not even sure about Graces because Graces has an annoying thing where you can't, like, each hit doesn't deal raw damage. Like, it's all a combo is just a lot of, like, damage that is built up. Like, you build up damage from a combo. Like, basically the hits that you deal in a combo don't deal direct damage to the enemy. So the more hits you do, the higher the total damage. You don't deal damage for each individual hit. The damage is a combination of the combo, much like in Baten Kaitos. Like, each individual hit in Baten Kaitos, and in that game it works because it's a turn-based game, I'd say, but I get what they're trying to do as well with that, in the sense that they want to make the battles last longer, I guess, but I don't really think that is necessary. I like to be able to know exactly what damage my characters are dealing, and with that it makes it really difficult to tell, and I'm really not too keen on that. So yeah, that's basically the gist of that whole thing. Like, I personally prefer Exilia for that reason. I like the fact that in Exilia you have like tons and tons of art strings that you can do, which is really cool. And in other Tales games like Symphonia, you can have some real fun with it. Like, Symphonia, really, that game has aged so well. I will definitely say, as much as I'm a Star Ocean fan over a Tales fan, Tales of Symphonia totally destroyed Star Ocean until the end of time. And it's still, like, in a way, like, Tales of Symphonia feels more like a Star Ocean game in some ways than Star Ocean Until the End of Time does. I actually made an argument on GameFAQs that Star Ocean Until the End of Time, while it may be considered a good game by some, and I can see how it can be, it's an abysmal Star Ocean. Because Star Ocean Until the End of Time took everything that made it Star Ocean away from it. It basically took away everything and stripped it of everything that made a Star Ocean game. They got rid of item creation. Item creation is like a staple of Star Ocean. You can't get rid of it. Now, yes, you could argue they replaced it with invention, but it's not the same. Like, invention was absolute crap. Like, it didn't have the thrill of, like, creating items. Like, they took that away and just made it tedious. Like, I really hated the invention system. It was a terrible replacement for item creation, just simply because, like, you never had any idea as to what you were going to make. You just put money down and you basically took a wild guess, like, this is probably going to be a good item that I'm going to get because I'm putting a lot of money down on it. But you never knew exactly what you were going to get. It could be a weapon for any character. You didn't know what kind of a weapon it was going to be. Or, well, I suppose it was like that in Star Ocean 2, but it didn't cost money. And the weapons that you used, let's put it this way, in Star Ocean 2, it's not as big of a deal because, like, you're not putting money forward. And you get some kind of a good idea as to what you're going to get. Like, you get some idea. You don't know exactly what you're going to get, but you get some idea, whereas with in Star Ocean 3, the only thing you see is money. Like, the whole thrill of it was putting items into a pot and seeing what you got. Which is what this game brings back, but in the originals it was like you got components which you put into and you got stuff out, which was really cool. I liked that. So you got to really experiment with Star Ocean 2's item creation, and you get to experiment with the item synthesis in this game.
One of the pets I raised at the Institute died. I was overcome with sadness.
Sorry to hear that. How'd it die? Old age?
It mistook a man for food and ended up choking on him.
How do you not feel bad for the guy who got eaten?
Yeah. Maybe he got him stuck in his teeth. But that's the thing about it, really. Like, I think that Star Ocean Until the End of Time really, like, with the invention system, like, the fail rate was ridiculous as well. Like, it was just absolutely ridiculous how you could just fail so easily. And every time you failed, it cost you money. And yes, you could get other people to invent them for you, but that was not the point. Like, yes, if you got other inventors, the success rate was higher, but that defeats the purpose of having characters. That defeats the purpose of growth. The whole point in item creation in Star Ocean was the growth. You got to watch your characters grow. Like, you got to grow your characters' statistics in item creation, which gave you another way to grow your characters. Removing that kind of removed part of the growth.
Really? Oh, I guess it's not as common here in Rasulia as it is in Langkok. Is that what everyone's currently wearing there? I'm trying to remember.
And yeah. But that's not the only thing. Like, if you look at private actions in this game, for example, and you look at the private actions from Star Ocean Until the End of Time, the private actions in Star Ocean Until the End of Time are pitiful. They aren't even worth, they aren't worth your time. Most of them aren't even private actions. It's just talking to random NPCs and making choices. That's literally it, and the choices you make affect your affection system. They literally did that in Tales of Symphonia. Tales of Symphonia is interesting, and it's part of the reason why it's my favourite Tales game, because it has private actions. It has variables which are based on the characters or the player's choices, or what the player does in the game. That's what private actions are. Private actions are distributing variables based on your actions in the game, which contribute to the ending you get, or in Tales of Symphonia's case, the Flanor scene. So it had private actions, and that's part of the reason why I liked Symphonia so much. It was a better Star Ocean game than Star Ocean Until the End of Time was. And yes, it didn't have item creation, but like the private actions that you got in, or the scenes that you got which gave you the affection in, or the variables in Tales of Symphonia, were better than the scenes that you did in Star Ocean Until the End of Time. Most of them, at least. There were some good ones in Star Ocean Until the End of Time, but most of them were just talking to random people, not even to the characters that you're supposed to be bonding with, which is really freaking annoying to me. And that really rubbed me the wrong way. And that's the kind of thing. Yes, it made up for it with the endings, but like I say, like, the private actions and the item creation are like a staple for the Star Ocean series, and to see it be ruined in Star Ocean Until the End of Time was not good. Like, I really hated how they screwed it up. And that's one of the things about the Tales series. While I have always seen the Tales series as a quick fix RPGs, like, I've always seen them as quick fix RPGs, like, oh, I'll just play this for a quick fix just to get my JRPG fix, because we all need our fix, you know what I mean? And, like, part of the reason why I'm playing this is because I've been in the mood for some JRPGs, so, yeah. And I actually replayed Symphonia for that reason, just simply because I needed my JRPG fix, and it was the best Tales game, so I thought I'd pick that game up, because I finished, aside from Zesteri, which I completely dropped, and I don't ever want to play because it's so freaking boring, like, I basically finished everything else. I even finished Dawn of the New World, even. Like, that was kind of enough to burn me out. But, yeah, like, I think the Tales series has always been, for the most part, a quick fix. Never anything amazing with the Tales games, for the most part, even though there's some really good ones, but, like, most of them are just a quick fix. They're just the JRPG that it's like a pub meal. Like, it's nothing like a fancy restaurant or anything like that. You don't get that sort of thing on most Tales games. It's like a typical pub meal sort of thing. It's like, you get pie and peas. That's basically what the Tales series is for the most part. A lot of people might disagree, that's good for them, but that's how I see most of the games in the Tales series. And Tales of Symphonia is one of the few that breaks the mold. And that's why I like it so much. But for the most part, especially the new Tales games, they are literally just pie and peas now, and I just can't be arsed anymore with pie and peas. Like, I put up with it back last gen because there was nothing else, but now we have so much more because we have Star Ocean 5 and Exodus Archive and Nier Automata, that Pan Piece just isn't enough right now. It's not enough anymore. Like, you can't just release this and expect me to care about it. I don't care about it anymore. You have to give me a reason to play it now. Because it's getting serious now. My time is too valuable to waste on games that aren't... And it's not like you're paying more for it. No, I haven't played Berseria, but I haven't played that yet. And the main reason why was because I'm burnt out on Zestiria. And also, it's not just because I don't want to play it, it's because I've got so many games to play right now. I have Nier Automata to play right now. I'm not going to drop Nier Automata to play Berseria. I'm sorry, but I'm not going to do that. Like, there's so much that I need to do with that, and I've even put that game on hold just simply because, like, I really, like, I don't have the time to do a review of it right now, and I want to do it, finish it when I'm ready for review, so that I can get that reviewed. But mainly I'm talking about how the Tales series, I've kind of been burnt out from it, and I'm not the only person who was. Shintai mentioned on, like, he's basically the YouTuber that I watch. He mentioned on a call that I had yesterday that even he's burnt out of it, and he hasn't played Berseria. I mean, I'm not saying that it's a bad game, Berseria, it might be really good, but, like, after playing Zestiria, it's just, like, reality's sunk in for me, and I just think I just think that there's so much more on offer now than there was back in 7th generation, and not having as much on offer in 7th generation, like this game for example. A lot of people might hate this game, but I really like this game. So, like, this game offers me a lot, and because I have had this game to play, I'm just going to go see if there's a side quest. Because I've had this game to play, it's given me so much, like, my standards have gone up just by having this game. Just want to see if I finished the quest or not. I might have done that. Yes, I have. Good. That's important. But that's the reason why I haven't played Berseria. Mainly because I'm just a bit burnt out of Tales. Whereas I'm not really burnt out with Star Ocean. I'm not. Like, Trias games always keep me coming back because of the systems that they put in. And this is the reason why I'm doing Welch side quests, so I can unlock item creation, so that I can do the item creation, because item creation is awesome. And that's one of the things that keep me coming back to Star Ocean. But, yes. Yeah, I dropped Zestiria very quickly. I don't even know if I played 6 hours of Zestiria. Like, a lot of people complain about this game, Star Ocean 5, but this game has a low budget. This game was made by, like, I mean, I've had this discussion already with Shintai, but, like, this game's budget isn't as high as other games. Like, you can tell that it's not as high. Like, this game was made by a subsidiary of a company. It kind of, like, it's owned by Nipro, not Square Enix, and Square Enix published it. So, whereas Namco Tales Studio is owned by Namco, and Namco published it. So, Namco would be more prepared to feed them money than Square Enix would be prepared to feed Tri-Ace money. So, when you look at it from that perspective, like, Zestiria seems really lazy. Whereas this game just seems like they tried, but, like, it's got some budget issues, I'm not going to deny that, but they gave it a good go. Whereas Zestiria, like, they just really didn't go there. They didn't go that extra mile with Zestiria that they could have done. And they could have done it. They've done it before. I've played Tales games. Like, Exilia had a lot to offer. Like, it might not be my favourite Tales game, but it was a pretty solid Tales game for what it was. And to see it go down so much from Exilia, and to see how worse Zestiria was from Exilia, is just downright atrocious. And I can't, like, a lot of people would say that this game's downright atrocious, but it still does a lot of, like, what it does right, what Star Ocean does right, is its item creation. That's what it's all about, the item creation and the private actions, and this game does them really well. So, like, while certain things can be subjective, like, the combat is improved from the classic Star Oceans, it's not, like, worse than Symphonia. Like, the thing I found about Zestiria is the combat is worse than Symphonia's, and Symphonia's was released many, many years ago. So when you look at it from that perspective, it's pretty inexcusable. Like, it's ridiculous as to how Star Ocean. Oh, I should be going to Landok so I can hand in my quest. But it's ridiculous how Star Ocean manages to stay so fresh, yet the Tales series just gets so dull. But I assume that Berseria is better, and to be honest, I can't see you getting any worse. Well, I can, Dawn of the New World, but I can't see you getting worse now than with Berseria than you do with, like, Zestiria. Like, Zestiria wasn't even trying. Like, the story, like, didn't try anything new, didn't try anything different. It was just generic and boring. There was nothing that gripped me. If you can't even grip the player from the get-go with anything, like, I understand if you can't grip me with the story, because story isn't everything to me, but if you can't grip me with the story or the gameplay,
Someone I like? Fidel.
then there's a problem.
Almost forgot. And Miki too.
And that's what Zestiria did for me. It didn't even connect with the gameplay. Like, the gameplay was just trash compared to Exilia. It was trash compared to Exilia and Graces. So I just couldn't enjoy it. And it's just a shame that when a big company that, like Namco can hire, like, big developers, and they have lots of money because they have series like Dark Souls under their wing, you'd think that they'd have more money to spend on games, and more money means more staff, which means more time put into it, but they didn't even go there. And, like, the fact that the game was, like, they seem to be releasing Tales games, I wouldn't say once every year, because it's kind of seems to have stopped that now, but they had what was kind of like a yearly schedule of Tales games. It's just like, if you really care about your games, you're going to put them in development for at least 2 years. Maybe it was, but because they're under different teams, but still, like, space your games out a little bit. I'm not saying be like Duke Nukem Forever, but space your games out a little bit, because we don't want to have to rush to the next game. We're still playing through other games at the moment. Like, people were still playing Exilia 2 when Zestiria was announced. Like, we don't care about Zestiria, we're busy playing the current games. Yeah, I heard about the censorship of Berseria, and, like, I didn't really think much of it. Like, this game got censored. This game got censored with Miki's underwear. Like, I don't really know much about censor. Like, it's different censoring because of the violence thing, which is kind of ridiculous, but it's just like, I don't really pay attention to things like that. Like, all that matters to me is the game good? Like, if the game isn't good, then yeah, I have problems then. But censored stuff, like, games have been censored since the beginning of time. Like, it's always been censored. Like, you always get censored stuff in video games. It just happens. It's just normal. So I just accept that, the fact. I don't make a big deal about it. Yeah, I get that one. Which doesn't make a difference to me. They censor a lot of things in video games. I mean, I don't think that censoring is necessary. Like, you play the game, if it's for adults, then just keep it in. What's the point? What's the point in censoring it? What's the big deal about it? But, like, censoring doesn't change anything. Like, the implication is still there. Like, just because you have a game where there's a character that commits mass genocide and you basically swap the blood for, like, when you swap the blood for candy, and whenever you kill an enemy, like, they drop candy, like in Serious Sam. Like, instead of, like, blood, you can replace the blood with flowers in Serious Sam. But you're still killing people, regardless. So, what's the point in censoring it? In a way, Serious Sam kind of does it for a joke, but, like, censoring does nothing. Like, I think that these companies should start thinking about having, like, more obscene stuff in them. And I'm not saying for the sake of it, but not be afraid to have some obscene content. Like, to have some profanity when necessary, because profanity can give characters, well, character. I mean, you can overuse profanity, certain games do that, but sometimes it can work. Sometimes profanity is handy because it kind of shows a lot about the characters. When a character uses profanity, it means that they're kind of they're not very refined people. They don't really have. They're kind of like well, you get the gist. It's like they're not really. They have their own sense of morals. They're not followers of society or a religion or something. They're not like pierced to a religion or something. They have their own way of doing things. So yeah, they will swear and use the Lord's name in vain on a regular basis. Whereas a character that doesn't swear, you can see them as like they kind of have like convictions, and because of that, they just don't think it's against their values to use profanity. So you can really separate characters using that in video games. So like using like profanity and like content like graphic violence can be really useful in games because it allows you to like see the impact of everything. Like there's more of an impact when things like that happen, and mainly because the impact's important because it helps you like tell the personality of the characters and what they're all about. Like you want to see how ruthless a character is, you want to show them being violent, you want to show that violence. And if you ignore profanity, you're wasting an opportunity. Like profanity is another way of being able to tell what a character is like. Because a character that swears is probably like a ragtag mercenary with no values, and a character that doesn't might have values. So you can represent a character through how they act. Of course there's many different ways of doing that, but it is one way of doing it by not censoring, and that's the reason why I don't really have a problem with it, by the way, in the sense that Grandia 2, for example, did it in a way that like it had euphemisms for basically everything. Like it didn't swear much. Like I think it had a few like moments where you said bastard or something like that, but the game uses euphemisms. You can tell exactly what they're saying, like exactly what the game implies. Like the game implies that there's some like that the character uses profanity, but it never actually uses profanity. Like it has kind of like this euphemism sort of thing that allows you to represent the character. So really, you don't need profanity, but it does help. It is nice to have. But if you can find a better way of doing it without profanity, then that's even better. And Grandia 2 kind of did that. And that's kind of why I don't really have a problem with censorship. I don't think it's needed, but if it's there, why censor? But like, I don't see a problem. Like, it doesn't affect me. Ultimately, if they can come up with a better way, then that's even better. Like, I'm all for a better way of expression. But if you just want to stick with that sort of expression, then fine. It's just like real life, pretty much. In real life, you don't see people using over-the-top expression. They use expressions like everybody else. They're like, fuck this, and fuck that. Like, they don't, like, say something along the side, like, they don't say, people aren't poetic in real life. And some games try to be poetic in a lot of ways how they do it, and it's quirky and it's fun, but you don't always have to be poetic. Sometimes it's important to have that profanity to make a point clear, and to make it clear that this is trying to be very real. In a game that's trying to be very real, yes, you need that violence, and it's inexcusable. However, I think with Berseria, since it's a JRPG, and JRPGs don't really try to be real, they're also kind of like, well, yeah, Final Fantasy Tactics is kind of like, it's what I like to call a more refined sort of RPG. I wouldn't say it's realistic at all, but it's kind of very different from a lot of RPGs in the sense that it tries to focus on a more realistic look on it. Like, it's kind of like, well, what's the best way to describe it? Like, players can't just simply play as one character and just dominate in Tactics. You have to use a combination of characters. It's a strategy RPG, but also the setting is a more mature setting in Tactics games. Like, it's a bit like Valkyrie Profile. Valkyrie Profile and the Tactics games are very similar. If you're a fan of any of the Tactics games and you have never played the Valkyrie Profile series, you should get on that shit right now, because Valkyrie Profile is pretty much, it is one of the best in terms of mature storytelling that's told in a more sophisticated manner. If you want a sophisticated game, it's not exactly realistic, but it's more sophisticated in how its story is told. It's not over the top nonsense, even though some of it is. Like, it's not realistic, but it's more sophisticated. Like, Vesperia, for example, is not a sophisticated game. It's over-the-top, crazy nonsense. And sometimes you want that. Sometimes you want the crazy shit. Like, it depends on what you're looking for in a game. Like, if you want sophisticated games, Valk Profile's probably, Valk Profile 2 is probably the best game. But if you're looking for something that's quirky and silly, then Grandia 2 would probably be my pick out of them all. Like, those are definitely my picks. Oh, and I need to also learn battle skills, I think. Did I actually? Yeah, pretty much. Like, that's the thing about RPGs. Like, that's the thing about Valk Profile. It's like, it focuses on a very dark plot, and it's very similar sort of thing in the sense that, particularly in Covenant of the Plume, that game is. Yeah, I think that wasn't the one. It must be in another. It must be in Masulia, but I did do a quest anyways. But yeah, that's the thing. I find that Valk Profile and Tactics are in the sort of same league. They're kind of different games, although technically Covenant of the Plume is very much like Tactics. But like, they kind of got that broad world around you. Like, they've got lore. Let's put it that way. They've got lore in them. You hate Covenant of the Plume? I suppose it's because you played Tactics, but I liked it. I like Covenant of the Plume. I like the fact... Like, I'm not a big fan of strategy RPGs, I'll tell you that for now. Because they're so slow-paced. I'm not into that. Like, but I like Covenant of the Plume because it adds some action into it, and it mixed things up, and I really liked that. But, like, I don't think that it's as good as Valk Profile 2, but I liked Covenant of the Plume for what it was. It was a brilliant game. I did like it a lot. I suppose if you played Tactics, like, story-wise, it might be better than Covenant of the Plume, but, like, in terms of, like, setting, the Valk Profile setting as a whole, oh, the good ending on the first try, I got it on my second try, but I did start a new game, not a new game plus, I started a new game from scratch. So, I did, and yeah, it is pretty challenging, and well, compared to other strategy RPGs, it's a cakewalk, but it was a nice challenge, and I did like it, personally. I got the C ending first, because I didn't know what to do. Then I found out what I needed to do, and I started again. I didn't do a new game plus. Then I did a new game plus after I got the A ending, and I got the B ending from it, and then I started the Seraphic Gate, which the Seraphic Gate is worth the price of entry in itself, because it's the best bonus dungeon Trice has ever made. Yeah, like, it was, like, I kind of did that in the sense that I started the game from scratch. Like, I didn't take over my characters when I did my new game, but I actually got C first, kind of. I ended up having to go back to get the C ending because of it, but I actually didn't know there was a new game plus at the time. That's why I did that. But yeah, there were certain missions that were a bit annoying, like having to save Rosea from those freaking undead. That was a nightmare. But it's the nightmare moments that you remember in games, in a way, sometimes. Sometimes when a game is painfully difficult, it's memorable. As long as it's not too frustrating, and I don't think Covenant of the Plume ever got too frustrating. But yeah, Covenant of the Plume was... It wasn't Valk Profile 3, it's not the Valk Profile 3 we wanted, but it was still a really nice game. I really liked Covenant of the Plume a lot. And this is coming from someone who doesn't really care much for strategy RPGs. Like, I'm not too big of a fan of, like, going on a grid and, like, having to... Like, the thing I liked about it was it kept some variety with the action gameplay that was in Valk Profile. Whereas, in games like Tactics, it's very turn-based, and I'm not that big of a fan of it. I don't even know what... Oh, you mean getting to the last boss? Garm is the last boss, and, like... I didn't really have too much trouble with that. Like, I thought it was... Like, do you mean dealing with those orbs before the last boss? They were pretty tough, I will definitely say that, but in terms of the rest of it, I thought it was... I didn't have too much of a problem. Like, it wasn't, like, it was a challenge, and I liked the fact that it was a challenge. I really did. But, I don't know what you could consider a challenge if you play games like Tactics. Personally. Like, but, that's personally my view on it. Like, I really do like Covenant of Doom a lot. But ultimately, the best Valve Profile game and the best game for me was Valve Profile 2. That game was amazing, and I don't think Covenant of Doom ever came close to that game. Yeah, but the thing that was annoying about the orbs were harder than the last boss. The last boss was actually quite easy because you could just pile on her and just get like a formation on her. Whereas with the last boss of like the thing before the last boss was a pain because it would use all these spells and it cast them like 3 times each on you. But then you end up fighting the Ethereal Queen in the Seraphic Gate, and then you find out what real pain is all about, because that boss does the same thing. Yeah. But it was still a nice challenge, regardless, and it kept me on my toes. It wasn't a challenge that was too frustrating for me. One-shots every character? Like, where were you positioned your characters? I don't know. Like, because I never had that. Like, I never had all my characters die in one hit at the same time. Maybe you had your characters in a group that allowed, but then again they'd only use one spell. That's what I remember at least. Like, the trick to dealing with them is to not have your characters too close together. But I never experienced that at all. I never had that happen to me, so I wouldn't know. But from all I know, like, the boss was a nice challenge with the magic that they dealt, but I never had anybody die, like, multiple times in the game. I had people die occasionally, like, and I just resurrected them with a Union Plume, but I never really had them die multiple times. I never had that problem. Like, well, I never had people all dying at once, that's what I meant. Like, I never had that, like, they died individually. I mean, the enemy had different turns, so multiple people might have died in one turn, but not in one attack. I never experienced having one attack kill me in the game. Like, kill everyone at once. I don't think I've ever seen that happen. But if you have, then I don't know. Tell me, what was that attack? What did they do to kill you all? Because I didn't see it. I didn't experience it. Because I never had a move that did like one shots every character at once in that game. I never saw anything like that. Everything, like, do you mean just one character at a time or every character at once? Because I never had that. I had characters die in one shot, like one at a time, but that was resolved easily with Union Plumes. Like, I had no New Game Plus stuff either when I did it, so it was definitely very much possible. And I didn't use the plume either. It was rough. It was definitely rough, but that was part of the fun. Like, I really liked how it was challenging if you decided to play it challenging, but if you wanted to play it easy, you could play it easy. I liked that ability to customize my own challenge. But yeah, that was kind of the gist of it. Like, I mean, if you think that's bad, then play 50 Crystals difficulty on Valve Profile 2, and yeah, then that's bad, where bosses can like deal like I think the super boss at the end of Valve Profile 2, if you play it on the highest difficulty, the super boss can deal 300,000 damage to everyone in one hit, unless you spread apart. But I think you must be talking about the orbs, because the last boss itself is very easy. You just basically get everybody together, and aside from one person, have one person on the other side of the room just existing to resurrect. That's usually what I did, and just basically make it so that because there's only one enemy to deal with, they only have one move, so they can't like spread out. And plus, the good thing about Garm is Garm can't actually move. Like, other characters can, but Garm herself can't actually move, so that gives you an advantage immediately, and you can just basically rush to the front or keep one character back and just combo her to death. Yes, you'll kill them, but you can resurrect them. I never really experienced that, but yeah, if that sounds kind of annoying, but I'd still be able to probably deal with that. But like, when it comes to hit point healing bosses, I've seen far worse. At least Garm didn't move, and because Garm didn't move, that made it less annoying for me. But if Garm did move, then it would have been insane. But I tell you a boss that really did annoy me. Every single boss fight in the original Odin Sphere. Now, that's where healing 90% of hit points is a nightmare. That's where you want to really watch out. Another thing about Valkyrie Covenant of Bloom is, if you play your cards right, then you can deal a fuck ton of damage in one turn anyways. So, and that's what Valkyrie is all about. It's not about, like, battles take forever. Sometimes you can end battles very quickly. So, sometimes you can end battles really quickly in Valkyrie Profile. So it's designed around that, whereas games like Odin Sphere give me a pain in the neck. The remake isn't as bad, however, but the original was an absolute nightmare. Like, that was what frustration is. Like, you'd think that Covenant of Bloom was frustrating. Now, that game, the original Odin Sphere, or Classic Mode on the remake, that's a nightmare. Because certain bosses will heal, and there's so many other enemies that are supporting them, and, like, it takes forever to get their health down to 0. And you only have one attack string, or one good attack string the whole game. And you basically have to spam it, and it just takes ages. Like, Darkover wasn't even the worst. The worst, well, that's a tricky one. Like, some of the worst were, like, Scolded the Sorcerer. Like, he was a freaking nightmare. Like, Scolded the Sorcerer, where you had to freaking make sure that you countered his freaking swords, and if you didn't, like, you wouldn't be able to hit him because he'd constantly teleport everywhere. And not even just him, like, another annoying boss was, like, just basically the Unicorn mini-boss was a nightmare because it would heal themselves. And so was the Queen of the Underworld. She would heal herself as well. And that was a big deal in Odin Sphere, because the bosses would heal themselves and you'd have to do it all over again. But it seems to me that you just had a really bad experience with the last boss. And yeah, I never really experienced it, mainly because I killed her a lot quicker. I don't know, but I didn't think that Garm was too bad. I thought the first bit with the orbs was kind of challenging, but they give you a break period before you fight her, and like, once you've done that, you can really go all out and take her out pretty quickly because she's not moving. And because you have those formations, that's the thing, it's all about getting into the formations. And because you have the formations, you can really take advantage of that and become really, really powerful. But maybe, to me, maybe you were under-leveled, because I can kind of see the possibility of that, because it's easy to miss out on experience, but maybe that was why you had a hard time. Maybe I was over-leveled, because I tried to do everything that I could to get experience. Alright, but yeah, they would attack you in multiple strings. But yeah, that's basically what I did, and I ended up beating Garm. Garm herself wasn't too difficult for me, just simply because it wasn't moving. I could get into a formation, which meant I dealt ridiculous amounts of damage. Yes, it might have taken some time, but because like I could just basically kill Garm, like I could deal so much damage anyways, I didn't think it was that big of a deal, and I had tons of Union Plumes, so I didn't really have a hard time against Garm personally. I had a harder time against the fight against those orbs. I don't know. Did I have the Moonfalks when I did it? I don't know if I did. I might have had the Moonfalks on Wilfred at the time, so maybe that was why. Maybe it was the... Yeah, I don't know about Shadow Image Gwendolyn. Like, that's something that I don't remember. Like, oh, maybe it's from the remake you're talking about, the remake of Odin Sphere? Is that what you're talking about? You're talking about the remake of Odin Sphere, or the original? Because in the remake of Odin Sphere, that game is a lot easier, and I could, like, the bosses in the original Odin Sphere are the ones I'm talking about, not the remake. The remake of Odin Sphere is, like, it's a piece of cake in comparison to the original. The original Odin Sphere was literally masochistic in terms of difficulty. Oh, Shadow Image. I don't remember using that. Well, I thought that the last bow was Overload or something. I knew you had Cyclone in that one, but I don't remember an ability called Shadow Image. Maybe I didn't unlock it, maybe my Cypher level was too low. But I don't remember that move. The only thing I remember exploiting in that game was on the final boss of Odin Sphere, I said fuck it, and I used a variance and just basically attacked it and dealt ridiculous amounts of damage. But because I had low HP, so I thought fuck it, I'll just use a variance, and I kicked the final boss's ass doing that. I was just like, I am not going through a long crawl of boss fight again. Yeah, I've never used that attack, so I don't remember having that attack personally. But even still, like, there was more to it than just Gwendolyn. Like, you had to do it with all the other characters. One of the worst characters to, like, when it comes to aerials, like, Oswald's the worst, but he's really good on ground. And then you have characters like Cornelius, who doesn't really have, like, I kind of struggled with him a lot as well. I mean, the thing about Oswald is he actually made some of the bosses look like a freaking joke in comparison. But then you got Velvet, who was, she was horrendous to control. Like, I did not like playing as Velvet much at all, because she was just, like, she had no blocking ability, but at the same time like compared to Oswald, she was so freaking weak. And yeah, I just wasn't keen on that. Like, Oswald was probably the best character, just simply because you could use his shadow mode, and that was pretty awesome, as you could really deal a fuck ton of damage with that. I mean, yes, it drained POW, but you'd lose POW anyways, so you might as well just use it. Oh, the Cauldron was a fucking bitch. The Cauldron was a fucking pain in the ass. Having to do that freaking platforming just to get up to him, that was fucking annoying. Like, that's probably one of the worst bosses in the game to me. Yeah. Like, the best setup for Oswald is to give him a POW gem or whatever, like, so that you give him, like, a power gem or whatever, so that you get more POW, so that you can stay in shadow form for longer. That's what I like to do with him, just basically focus on his POW. I mean, I haven't played as Oswald yet in the remake, and, like, with the POW system gone, I wonder how they're actually going to do with his shadow form. Like, it sounds like it's going to be pretty insane what they're going to do with Oswald. I haven't reached him yet. I just finished Cornelius' story on Odin Sphere Remake at the moment, so that's as far as I got. But I finished the original. I actually finished the original just before the game actually came out. I made a point of finishing the original game before the actual remake came out, and I didn't play the remake for ages because I was just so burnt out of Odin Sphere after finishing the game. Now that I've played the remake, it is amazing. Like, it is one hell of an improvement from the original Odin Sphere. It's probably gonna rate highly in my review when I do it, because I think that it's one of the most improved games I've played in years. Yeah, I wouldn't, if that's the remake, then I wouldn't know, but just, I turned to shadow mode and just spam the attack button with Oswald, and yeah, then exit just before it finishes. Yeah, that's basically what I did, because the original, you didn't really have as many choices as you do in the remake, and the remake is so freaking good. Like, the remake is so freaking good compared to the original. It's what the original should have been. And if, like, I'm seriously gonna really give the remake a good review, because even though there's some things, like, I really wish the eating didn't take so long, but that's just a nitpick. Like, so many things were fixed in the remake, and it's still challenging. The new bosses that they added are still really tough. So it's not like it's not challenging. It's just that the challenge is fair now. Like, it's a fairer challenge, and I'm playing on hard difficulty, so that's probably why, but it's a lot fairer and it's a lot more fun. Yeah, like, the freaking animations in the originals, they just took ages to do. Like, they took forever to do. So, and yet some of the bosses' animations were, like, instant. Like, there was actually an animation on, I think it was the I forgot what they call it, Requiem of Souls or something. It was the mini boss that you fight in the ice area, and he has an attack that actually hits you before the animation actually activates. So the actual damage hits you. You take damage before the animation actually hits you. Then the animation hits you afterwards. That was such a cheap way of killing you because you couldn't avoid that. Like, no matter how much you tried, you just couldn't avoid that. And that really annoyed me about Odin Sphere. But the thing about Odin Sphere is, the original, I really wanted to like it because it did a lot of things right. But now that I've played the remaster, and it's a shame because my experience with the story was playing the original. And I don't think I'll get the same experience back, but I liked the story of Odin Sphere, and I liked the music of Odin Sphere, I liked the art of Odin Sphere. The only thing that I had problems with the original was the gameplay. But now that the gameplay is good in Life of Seer, it seriously was... I mean, I'm playing it now, but it's the best game I've played of this generation. That's how it feels to me, personally. Like, it might be a remake, but it's probably one of the best remasters I've played in my life. Besides maybe Pokemon Soul Silver. That's, like, well, I'd say it's on par with Pokemon Soul Silver. Because it even added new areas where you got to explore. Like, instead of just having the same area recycled over and over and over and over again, they mixed up all the areas to keep it fresh. And they really put a lot of effort into it this time. And I was so glad to see them put that effort into the game, which they didn't back then. And that's the thing that, like, is like making it kind of Game of the Year contender in a way. Like, it might sound silly, but I think that Odin Sphere is better than Nier Automata. Like, that's how much I think about Odin Sphere. And Nier Automata is a really good game, but Odin Sphere's improvements just blew me away as to how much you could do with that game. And the story is, like, more simplistic. I mean, I don't know much about the story of Nier Automata, but gameplay-wise, Odin Sphere just beats it. And that's Nier Automata of all things. And Nier Automata is a really good game, so when I say that Nier Automata is, like, when that game's better than Nier Automata, I mean it. Yeah, I haven't played the original though, but I bought Nier Automata to try it because I heard good things about the original, and I thought I'll give that game a try, and yeah, it is pretty good, is Nier Automata. It has a few issues, and I'm not going to deny that it has issues. A lot of people make it out to be like this perfect game, but it's still a lot of fun to play. So I wouldn't completely boycott it. Like, it's good to keep in mind. Like, it's not a game, like, you don't have to play it if you don't, obviously, but like, it's a good game to keep in mind because it's one of the few games in this generation that actually seems to want to bring quality to the table rather than trying to, like, it's one of the few. No, I haven't played Xenogears, and for one main reason, and I've talked about this so many times. Release Xenogears in the UK, please, Square Enix. Please, just do that. Release Radiata Stories as well, that'd be a good idea. Ooh, we've got Death Palm. But I'm going to wait till Victor joins the party, because he's going to be joining... Well, I'm not sure if he actually joins yet. I think he does. I'm not sure. I'm going to save that for Victor, because he's going to be involved. But yeah, I just need to heal first, because I know what's coming up next. But yeah, we never got Xenogears. We only got one... Like, we got Xenoblade, the Xenoblade games, and we got Xenosaga Episode 2. That's all we got out of all those. Yes, I played Star Ocean 2. Like, I never played the original, but I played the remake on PSP. That's what I played. So I played Second Story. And I'm so glad that this game brings back the item creation of Star Ocean 2 with the item synthesis. Even though it's not exactly the same, I'm so glad that they did that. Yeah, I didn't watch the Sony conference. I only watched the PC conference to see what was going on with Bannerlord. Because, like, I think PS4 is going to be my last console now, because I'm really starting to focus on building PC now, and because I want to play more PC games now, and there's like more JRPGs is starting to come on PC as well, so I'm really looking forward to that. And like I've been looking at Bannerlord, and really excited for that game. Hopefully one day Star Ocean will come to PC. I really hope that happens. Star Ocean and Valkyrie will come to PC. Like, I don't need consoles anymore. Once that happens, I don't need consoles. The only reason why I got PS4 was to play this game and Exist Archive. That's the only reason why I bought a PS4. And it does have streaming, like easy. I can stream really easily on the PS4, so that's something, because it has the actual streaming thing. So that's good. But like that's something that I think you might want to use when you're doing streams JRPG gaming, because when you're doing the streams for like Star Ocean 3, you can probably you can use this, or you can use the PlayStation camera, or whatever you want to use. But this is always an option if you have no other way. It means that you don't have to waste time setting up, and I know how annoying that is. Yeah, Victor's probably my favourite character to use. He's really awesome to use in this game.
I'm Emerson. Pleased to meet you.
Emerson's probably second, and Fidel's cool as well, and pretty cool to use. I'm not too big of a fan of the casters, but that's just not what I do. But yeah, I didn't really watch the Sony conference. I was mainly watching the PC conference, but that's about it. I didn't really watch much of it because I don't really watch much E3 anymore. Like, I just don't. Like, I'm not really that bothered about games that aren't already released yet. I'd rather wait until they're here and then I'll get excited. But yeah, like, Bannerlord was the only game that I was really interested in at E3. I wasn't really looking at anything else at the time. I never actually beat Gabriel. I never got through the bonus dungeon in... Oh yeah, that. I never beat Gabriel without limiter either. No. Two different Gabriels. Yeah, that would have been annoying. Like, I'm getting sick of console exclusivity. I'm sick of these walled gardens that consoles are presenting. I'm also sick of the fact that consoles are charging for online and trying to make things more restrictive for the people who play them. That's why I'm going PC, because I'm tired of the restrictions. I want the freedom to, like, play online without having to go through a paywall. I just want that freedom. And plus, you get a lot, like, region locking as well. Yeah, that's another annoying thing. But to be fair, Steam have started to do freaking region locking as well. Fortunately, GOG is still around, so you can still get region free. So that's really cool. So it's not all bad, but that's the thing. Like, region locking is just stupid. But yeah, I mean, I just really done with consoles now. Like, they do nothing for me, and I just see the future as this. The future is PC and mobile. Like, that's going to be the future, because consoles can only last for so long until people realise, hey, like, until PC finally becomes more accessible, and it will happen. PC will become more accessible in the future, and it'll become more easier to use. I mean, I know why people don't use PC. It's complicated, but that can be fixed. Like, all that needs to happen is companies release PCs. Like, they already released pre-built PCs, so all they need to do is make a pre-built PC that is easy to upgrade, and make the upgrading a lot easier and less overwhelming. That's what they need to do. Once they do that, consoles really don't have a place anymore. It's all PC from there on. And mobile. Mobile's going to be like the main competitor for PC, and I think mobile will grow. That will be probably where handheld consoles go. And I'm hoping that when mobile gaming does go, that it grows out of this stupid microtransaction bullshit. And that's kind of one of the things about that kind of annoys me about mobile gaming. I really don't want them to ruin that. I really want them to actually do things right. Because if they can nail mobile gaming, then that would be cool. Another thing that I want to see with mobile gaming, like, and that's the thing I want to see, like portable consoles like the 3DS. I want to see more. I want more ergonomics with mobiles. They need to focus on the ergonomics. Now, the Nintendo Switch is the first attempt to do that. Now, you're probably thinking, why don't I buy a Switch? Well, mainly because of the online paywall. I don't want to buy a Switch because of that. But, like, the Switch is an example. It just goes to show that mobile gaming can evolve beyond the whole, like, just a screen where you touch things. It needs to have proper controller. It needs to have proper buttons. It needs to have them. And they always need to be an option for most games. Otherwise, you can't really play a mobile device. There needs to be a mobile device built for gaming. Until they can do that, consoles will still reign, particularly handheld consoles. But once they do that, handheld consoles are out of there. Then it's PC and mobile, and the competition will be not on the console manufacturer, but on the operating systems. It'll all be iOS or freaking Android, like iOS versus Android and Microsoft versus Mac, like Windows versus Mac and Linux. That's what it's going to be. Those are going to be the new console wars, because, and who knows? We might see more operating systems. Maybe Sony might go into the operating system sort of deal. Maybe they might go into that. Maybe other companies might go into operating systems and compete. Maybe Sony will put a storefront on PC and mobile. Maybe this will happen. Like, it's all speculation at the moment. But I can't see why that wouldn't happen. Yeah, well, let's be honest. Gaming shops are more or less dead anyways. I think there's always going to be those retro stores that always exist. But if you've been watching Silent Rob's recent video, and he says games collecting just isn't fun anymore. He did this video about it, and basically talking about how collecting games is no longer entertaining because the prices are so high and because people are hoarding them, and the joy of owning physical copies is becoming worse and worse. Like, and a lot of people are like, and it's not because like people don't like physical copies. I still like my physical copies. It's because people have abused them, like scalpers abuse the system. And I don't want an all digital gaming. I don't, believe me. I like having my physical copies. I don't like having DRM. And I know that if you have all digital, DRM becomes a huge thing. And I don't want that to happen. I know that there's certain storefronts that don't do it, like GOG, but I don't want the risk of having DRM. Like, these are the things that I really love about Star Ocean 5. Just look at this. You don't get this in the Tales of series. Like, if you had this in the Tales of series, then it would be amazing. But this is what I like about Star Ocean 5 so much. Like, these huge battles where everything is going on. Like, how the hell can you call this game, like rubbish? Like, when it has all this crazy stuff going on in the background, and they're fighting over there, and then you've got tons of people fighting over here. It's pretty awesome. Yeah, like, I want the, like, I don't have a problem with the cost of video games going up as long as we get a return in the, like, as long as we get a return for it. Like, if the price goes up, I expect more quality. That's what I expect. But it depends on whether the developers are willing to give us more quality. And that's what I worry about, ultimately. Like, I'm willing to pay any price for a masterpiece. Like, I would pay £600 for Fallout 2 if I had to. Just simply because it's amazing. Like, that, like, but, like I say, it has to have the quality, it has to be fun, it has to be worth the money. And I find that some games, a lot of games in recent generations just aren't worth the money. And that's the problem. It's not the actual prices of games in general, it's the value of the games themselves. And because games aren't valued based on their actual overall quality, rather they're valued based on how new they are. And that's the biggest problem with pricing. Like, if the game is brand new, then they're priced higher. But if the price is, like there's no real way to measure the value besides it being brand new and used. And maybe if we do have a digital market, I'm not saying we should go all digital, I don't think that's important, but I think with PC it's a worthy trade-off because you get the freedom and you have the DRM free outlets like GOG, so it works. With consoles, it's just like, if you got rid of physical copies, it would be pointless. Another reason why I like physical copies is because you can boycott certain publishers like EA and still play their games with used games. So I really do want I really do want physical copies to stay personally, but I know the reality of it. They aren't staying whether we like it or not. Like, I can do a Star Ocean discussion video. Like, we can start discussion right now. As far as I'm concerned, we can start discussion right now. It's why we're here. Like, but yeah, Star Ocean is absolutely brilliant. Like, and like people that hate Star Ocean, I don't think they know what makes Star Ocean brilliant in the first place. Like, people that don't like this game, I don't think they do. And what makes this game so brilliant, like what makes the series so brilliant, ultimately, is like the private actions, the character management. Like, those are the things that really stand out in the Star Ocean series, and they are really, really good. Like, especially in games like Star Ocean 2, where you could basically, you had a skill which allowed you to, like, you literally had a freaking illegal form document skill, where you could, like, contraband skill. That was amusing. Well, Anne's dead, so I have to resurrect her. But that was hilarious, how you could just, like, commit crimes and, like, level up, like, ridiculous levels by just creating fake medals. That was freaking hilarious. And I really liked that. I mean, I like how this game does the ant creation as well. So, like, because it brings that kind of back, it doesn't bring it fully back, but it brings back the old style of ant creation. God, this is hard, this is rough. But it is Chaos difficulty that I'm playing, so... Oh shit. Yeah, we need to resurrect everybody now. Yeah. Yeah, I want you to... Oh crap, this ain't going well for me at all, is it? Oh, well, I'm dead. My favourite Star Ocean character... That's a tricky one. Mainly because... Like, I don't know. I'm thinking Victor, to be honest. I am actually thinking Victor is my favourite. Like, because he's an eccentric, and because his battle skills are amazing. I actually would probably say that Victor is probably my favourite. I'm glad I saved this. Yeah, I have the Japanese card, but I emulated it. And the thing about I'm probably going to end up replaying the original Star Ocean just simply because the repo card that I had, not repo card, like, I put it on emulator obviously so that I could translate it, and because my computer fried with my hard drive in it, I lost all my data for Star Ocean 1, which really sucks. So I'm gonna have to replay that one day. Maybe get different characters this time around, next time around. Who knows? But like, I think like Victor's probably my favorite character in the series. I know it might sound weird, but I just like his character because he's awesome. Diaz is very close second as well. Diaz is awesome as well. Diaz and Victor are my favorites. I'd say they are my two favorites. And like other characters, like the characters that I usually play in every Star Ocean game, like the first game, obviously I play as Roderick because it's easier. I sometimes swapped into Neck, just simply because he has like a move that can one-shot enemies. And then the second game, I kind of played as Bowman a lot. I like Bowman a lot. But I didn't, like, I liked Diaz as a character, but I never actually played as him because I never played Rena's playthrough yet. I still haven't played that. I mainly played Claude's playthrough, but I liked from what I saw of him and I really want to play as him. But ultimately I'd say Victor so far is probably my favourite. But what I usually played as was Bowman, just simply because like he has some pretty cool moves. Like he has his Petal Flurry and that lot, which is awesome. And in Star Ocean Till the End of Time, I played as Maria just simply because she's so ridiculously broken. Like her scatter beam attack is broken beyond belief. So I used Maria all the time. And in Star Ocean 4 I used Arumat because, well, he's the same sort of thing as Victor. That's the same reason why I use Victor in this game, because Victor is awesome. Like another character that I really like is Emerson as well. I think Emerson's awesome too. Victor and Emerson are probably tied, but I think that I personally like Victor to play as personally better. Yeah, I learned that lesson when I played the original, and I felt that I missed so much playing, like, not the original, but playing Star Ocean 2. Like, I don't own the original, I played the remake, by the way. So, that's basically the gist of it. Like, I haven't replayed it yet, though. I need to play Raina's playthrough on it at some point. Eventually I will play it again, but I've just got so much to do at the moment. And once I can, like, it might be a good idea, like, if they just released Star Ocean Second Story on PlayStation 4. Like, that would solve a lot of problems, like they did in Japan. Just release it over here, then I will have more incentive to play it and maybe stream it. That would be cool. Like, yeah, I didn't remove the limiter, I didn't even know that was a thing until, like, I read up on it. You really need a guide to play Star Ocean 2, though. It's one of those games where if you don't have a guide to play it, you're gonna have a really hard time finding out where everything is. Yeah, that's the thing, it should be released over here as well, like Star Ocean 3 was. I'd probably rather replay Star Ocean 2 than Star Ocean 3, to be honest. That's why I haven't really got Star Ocean 3 yet, just simply because it's not what I really not really want to replay that one. I want to replay Star Ocean 2. That's what I want to replay. And well, I want to replay this game as well, but 2 and 5 are the ones that I want to replay the most. And obviously 1 because I need to get my data back. Yeah, the Eternal Sphere, that broken weapon. There's also the Levantine as well, which I never got, but apparently it's really good. But yeah, I remember getting that using a guide. I didn't get it early though, I got it later on, so yeah. But it's always cool because you get that starburst hit.
So, what do you want to do?
Don't you think getting involved in their world is unethical?
And yeah, like Star Ocean 2 is a game that I really need to play again. I definitely need to play that game again and get, like, try different combinations of characters. I remember I started another playthrough and there's this boss in Star Ocean 2. Like, there's this boss in Star Ocean 2 because I started another playthrough. It was a Claude playthrough and I got Ashton this time, and I also got Welch in it because I got the remake. But like there's this one boss, the boss in the Hoffman Ruins. Fuck that boss, seriously. Like, I know I should probably put lightning resistance, but their freaking thunderstorm spell just kicks my ass every single time. And it's really annoying, and that's where I got to on my second playthrough of Star Ocean 2. So I need to do that, and then I started a playthrough on Universe on Star Ocean 2, and I got my ass handed to me. Like, in the first dungeon, the Salve Mines, so, yeah. Which was... Yeah, I thought, yeah, maybe I shouldn't do Universe. But that's what I need to do with Star Ocean 2. Like, 3 is probably, aside from 4, like, it's the last one I really wanted to play. 3 and 4, I don't really care to replay right now. Like, I want to replay 2 and 1, and, well, this. I know the Super Boss, not sure, to be honest, what I've beaten, because I'm honestly not sure. Like, I can't honestly think. Like, I know there's a lot of... Oh, you didn't do a video. You should do a video on it, JRPG. Like, if you do a video showing them, that would be swell. But, yeah. Like... Alright. Hopefully I don't miss it. Because time zones are a bit iffy. And, like, I might be at work, I don't know. Maybe I might see... I don't know. Hopefully I do. But yeah, I'd probably up be for doing a stream as well. Like, but like I don't know about the PlayStation camera. Like, I don't know. Usually later in the evening, usually is probably best for me to do a stream. Like, but I don't know. It depends. Like, I can message you if like, if you're up for a stream, I can basically tell you if I will be able to, but I can't really say a specific time, really, like, because I'm not exactly sure. I'm never really sure when I'm available. I'm available when I'm available, but, like, if you do plan on doing a stream, just tell me, and if you, like, want to stream a specific game, like, we'll organize something. I'll try and organize something that fits us both, so that, but I will organize it when I can get some free time to do it, if that makes sense. That's how I think we're best at doing it, and because I don't know the time zones of the US, so I'm not really sure about that, but yeah, we can definitely do something. Like, I don't know how you even record two people, like, commentating over the stream, but apparently you can, but so that sounds pretty good. But yeah, that we can definitely do that, but it's just knowing about, it just requires a bit of organization, and like, I'll have to set some time aside for it, but if I can organize it and everything goes right, not saying that it will, then yeah, we can sort. If I can do it at the time, then yeah, we can do that. But in any case, yeah, these battles are limitless. But I remember when I first played this section, like, I just kept fighting this bit because I just really enjoyed fighting these guys, just like kicking some serious ass. And it's good to build the reserve guards, which I'm going to actually use in the next bit. If I can actually remember how to use the reserve rush. I'm probably going to want to... Yeah, I've got Emerson's reserve rush at the moment. I think you get Victor nearer on. Right, yeah, that's the end of that. There's going to be more that spawn in, but... Yeah, this is going to be rough. Yeah, I want to get over here. Yeah, let's do this. Yeah, that's more like it. It kicks an ass. Deal a lot of damage there, because we're going to need to. But yeah, I don't even know what time zone they call mine, really, to be honest. I don't know. But I'll have to see what my time zone is. But yeah, I'm going to use this now again, so I can get rid of these guys quickly. Like, the good thing about reserve rushes is you can kind of build them up quick, and they kind of act as like a canceller move for like strong attacks in my book, because they kind of make you invincible, and it really is handy to use. Oh shit, Miki's dead. I need to get Miki back in action. Yeah, I wouldn't know, really. I don't look these things up. I think what I need to do, though... Yeah, I need to get Miki healed up, so... A blueberry potion on Miki would be nice. Oh, crap. So I need to heal her now with Refresh C, because she died before I could use the move. Right, it's... Oh crap, I was looking at the time actually, that's the thing. It's actually 55 minutes past 2 over here. That's our time right now. Right, I need to seriously try and heal Miki up now, so that I can... And now I can get back into the action, but I keep getting shot at. And I'm probably going to need to heal again, because I've just taken so many hits. But I can deal with this guy now, because I've got him cornered. He keeps shooting me. Now I need to use a blueberry potion again. Oh shit, Miki's dead. That explains a lot. Yeah. I've only just got fairy healing, which does not help at all. I need to be able to use that fresh sage, otherwise Mickey's going to be dead for a lot longer. Oh god, those bullets, man, they just keep hitting me. And I literally can't do anything about that right now. If I could not get shot, then that would be very nice. No, I'm going to get killed, aren't I? Yeah, I can't even move right now. I'm going to have to redo this fight. Yeah, it takes too long to use an item. So yeah, that's game over for me. Again. But this is chaos difficulty for you. So I'm going to end up doing this again. I think that it would have been interesting to see a like the thing about Star Ocean 5 is, well, the thing about it is that the character designs are really good. Like, there's so many really well designed characters in the game. Like, Fidel's character is probably, out of all the character designs, I'd say he's probably the best character in terms of his like appearance, like protagonist in terms of his appearance, if you ask me, main protagonist. Like they've really done a good job with the character appearance. Yeah, I really should have focused more efforts on actually doing more side quests. This is one of those games that really demands that you do a lot of side quests to progress. Because if you, especially on chaos difficulty, like you really need to do those side quests. Yeah, and it's mainly because they didn't get much budget. It's like, oh, we're running out of money now, we can't afford to pay you, so we want you to just finish things off. That's basically what it was all coming down to. And me and Shintai, when I had a call with Shintai last night, I actually mentioned to him that and I think we kind of agreed, but kind of didn't, but I mentioned to him, I personally believe that Tri-Ace were using their own funds to fund the series back when they were an independent company. I think they were using their own money to fund the series. Now they don't have any money of their own because they're a subsidiary of Nipro, so Nipro aren't going to give them money to work on their games anymore. Nipro are going to instead give them they're not going to give them anything. They've just basically allowed them to work with Square Enix. And Square Enix, the budget that they probably gave them was very low. And I think that they've always given them very low budget to work on their games. And really, I just assumed that Tri-Ace was using their own money the whole time, and that's why we got so many great games from them. And now the budget's starting to really hurt. Like their bankruptcy, kind of. I don't know if it was bankruptcy, but that getting bought out by Nipro really says a lot. Like they don't have much money anymore, and yeah, pretty much. Like Final Fantasy is their main series. They're going to put a lot of money into Final Fantasy because it is their main series. Whereas if you look at the Tales series, for example, that's pretty much, aside from maybe Dark Souls, which is a completely different type of game, the Tales series is their main JRPG. It is their main JRPG, much like Final Fantasy is Square Enix's main JRPG. They're not going to focus on another JRPG. Well, we live in a world where companies buy out other companies, unfortunately. It's called capitalism. And capitalism comes with its good and it comes with its bad, and in this case it comes with the bad. But that's just the way it works. It's like we have indie games for a reason, you see, and we want these indie games, but indie developers struggle, and it's getting really hard for indie developers. And ultimately, we expect a lot as gamers, and to get a lot we need the AAA, we need that money, but the AAA just don't want to deliver because they're cutting corners. And that's the biggest problem with recent generations. Like, it's just like, let's cut as many corners as we can to get more money. Whereas indies just want to make the best game they can, but they don't get the money, they don't have the money, so they're struggling. And they haven't been around enough, a lot of indie developers, they haven't been in the industry enough to know how things really work. Whereas in AAA, they know exactly how things work, they just want to cut corners. It's like, with Final Fantasy 13, that was an example of cutting corners. Like, let's make it all linear, let's not have shops, let's cut all that out, because let's not have towns, let's not have NPCs to talk to, and let's not have all that shit, because we're just going to cut corners on it. And it's the same with a lot of games these days. Like, they're really cutting corners on a lot of stuff. And it just doesn't feel the same anymore. Like, when you played Star Ocean 2, like, you had Fun City with all the mini-games and stuff. That sort of thing you don't see much these days. Like, it was just little extras like that that really made games memorable to begin with. Like all the little details are the things that really matter the most. Because it's all about those little details. Well, I don't know what concept is. What you mean by that, by concept. But, like, the establish an uncallable system. Like, honestly, I think, personally, like, I'm glad that we had Star Ocean 5, but I want to see a Valkyrie profile game. Like, that's what I want to see come out. That's what I really want, because, like, we've had Star Ocean 5 now, and I think making another Star Ocean game after this game, like, I know that it'd be cool to see a Star Ocean 6, and there is potential for a Star Ocean 6, there is, and I would like to see it at one point, but I really want a Valkyrie Profile 3 so bad. Like, it is the game that I've been waiting for many years, and if anything, if Triumph are going to make anything, that's the game that I want them to make, if they do come back. But, like I say, I don't think it's realistic for them to make a Valkyrie Profile 2 at the moment. So yeah, like, the whole handheld game, I think what Triumph might need to do, I think they need another standalone series, or they need to, depending on how well the remake of Star Ocean Tournament of Time did, I think what they need to do is they need to come up with a new IP temporarily, so that they can, like, Exist Archive was kind of a new IP, but it was a spiritual successor. But I think they need a new IP that tries something completely different. That might be something interesting, like what they did with Resonance of Fate and Infinite Discovery and Valiant Solid, which I never played, another game I didn't play, but apparently it's different. That's what I want to see, something completely new that we haven't seen before. But yeah, I think what I'll do in that battle is I'll start with the Reserve Rush, and I think, because, like, Valkyrie Profile 3, I would really like them to go back to the Valkyrie Profile 2 style, personally. That's what I would like them to do, like, go, I think they should look at the Resonance of Fate engine, or whatever engine they used for that, for Valkyrie Profile 2, because it was technically Sugaro's game, and I would like to see Sugaro back in Valkyrie Profile 2, because, like, in Valkyrie Profile 3, because Valkyrie Profile 2 is really good, I really like that, but, like I say, like, what I want isn't really realistic. We kind of got a handheld Valkyrie Profile in Covenant of the Plume anyways, so I think what would be best to do would be to get a new IP. Like, the only thing about Star Ocean 5 to me is it kind of feels like I'm playing Infinite Discovery. This game, to me, it's kind of like Infinite Discovery 2. That's what this game feels like to play sometimes. Like, it's got that Infinite Discovery feel to it, like all the characters that you get to control at once, and like, I wouldn't mind an Infinite Discovery 2, that would be interesting. Like, there's also, like, the potential of new IP, like, Triumph always come up with some interesting ideas with their new IPs. Like, Infinite Discovery was a really interesting idea. Like, I would like to see that again, or, like, see them really go further with that, especially since the ending kind of left things open, and, like, you kind of didn't know exactly what the main villain was talking about when he said that the world's gonna go to shit. Like, I want to see what came up with that, what actually happened because of that. But yeah, Hurst definitely needs to come back. She definitely needs to return, but I don't think that they can do it at the moment. Right, I need to. Yeah, I did not want you to shoot, buddy. I wanted you to do this. If I can just Oh, crap, I can't even pull off my reserve. Ah, I'm using... Yeah, I'm really... Like, Miki's just dying so freaking fast. I'm gonna need to heal her and swap to her. To keep her out of trouble. And just basically heal everybody else right now. God, those freaking gunshots really hurt. Right, let's use fairy healing, and I'm going to try and... Right, they are focusing on Miki here, so I'm gonna need to... Yeah, those gunshots, man, they deal so much damage, look at that! Like, there's nothing you can do here. They will just keep shooting, and then you basically get staggered to death, and then, yeah, shot again. Like, literally bombarded with gunfire here. Yeah, this ain't going well, is it? It's not. It would be nice if... Ah, no. Yeah. This is chaos difficulty for you. I might need to do some more side quests first before I do this. Because I need resurrection spell, I need other things like that. Yeah, Infamous Discovery was kind of underrated. I liked that game a lot. I really did. It has its flaws, but it for what it was, like, it was still a good game in a way, but like I say, I think if they did what Star Ocean 5 did though, it would have been a much better game. But yeah, what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna do some side quests, because I need to try and find a resurrection book or something, because right now things aren't looking good. I need to train my characters a bit more, because this is chaos, so I'm gonna need to solar cigarettes. I don't know if getting Death Palm is, like, there's also item creation. I need to see if I can do that. Oh yeah, I need to level up my specialties. I've completely forgotten to do this. Maybe this is the problem, like, it's important to do item creation. This is why it's very important. Yeah, compounding, that's going to be handy. I'll get some of that up. Like, I was forgetting about the important part of this game. Yeah, I won't level it up too much, because there's not really too much that can be done. I can't level that up yet. Like, you really need to level up your skills as early as possible when you're playing this. No, it's really handy to do that. And as for roles, trying to think, what could we do here? I want to maybe level up Guardian. Probably 7 out of 10, considering the fact that it does get harder from here. I know that from, and it's just only going to get more and more rough. I'm probably going to want this, because it's really handy. Especially with Fidel, given that protection. And I'm going to give him... There we are. The 10 out of 10 in this game will probably be the battle that happens at the research labs. That would be the battle that would be the 10 out of 10 for me, because it was just insane, where you had to protect Anne from getting killed. That's going to be a lot of fun to do. And yeah, I'm going to need to do some more leveling up. That's what I'm going to need to do here, because chaos difficulty is no joke. But ultimately, because I think I just need to do Welch's quests, unlock some item creation, and do some leveling up. I think you just need to buy certain things for the item creation, the next item creation one, if I can recall. But whatever, I'm gonna fight some stuff first. As it Andy. So yeah, there's also some of the bosses in the bonus dungeon which are definitely 10 out of 10 difficulty, like the shadow forms of the Prime members. That battle was the battle that kind of ended it for me. Like the only bonus dungeon I've finished in the Trias game that I can think of at the top of my head is Val 2's bonus dungeon. And I finished Covenant of the Plumes bonus dungeon as well. Those are the only ones that I finished. So yeah, I don't think I finished any of the bonus dungeons in any of the Star Ocean games. I never did. Yeah, that would be nice. I haven't unlocked item synthesis yet, so I can't really do that yet. I'm basically going to need to unlock some more item creation skills before I can do anything with that. But as for other games where there's been difficult fights like that, it's like, for example, one game that was really tough, like bonus dungeon wise, I would say the hardest bonus dungeon like that I finished would probably be Niflheim's like Tales of Symphonia. Yeah, I beat the Ethereal Queen in Valkyrie 2, not in the first game. I'll admit I never actually did beat the first game. I got to the final dungeon though, and I realised that it was the bad ending, and yeah, I just decided to watch the good ending on YouTube. So I'm playing through it again, just for the one ending, and the ending was actually pretty good. But Valkyrie 2, I beat the Ethereal King. I also beat Determined Derna. Like I didn't beat her on like hardest difficulty though. That would be rough. Now that is serious business. Like if you watch anybody fighting the Ethereal Queen or the Determined Derna on the hardest difficulty on Valkyrie 2, if you see a video doing that, you'll basically see just how crazy it is and how much health she has. Yeah, it's mainly because I didn't really do that, finish the game even to get to the bonus dungeon. Like I got to the last dungeon of the game, but like I did it in Valkyrie 2. Valkyrie 2 isn't too hard on the regular difficulties. It's just on the highest difficulty it's a bitch to do, but that's just the way it was really. It's still really fun to do though. But yeah, I haven't done the bonus dungeon one. Yeah, I suppose when you have your characters max level and max stats, like yeah.
But the one before that was surprisingly delicious. You're not gonna meet any help, Fiddly. As long as I mix it in without you noticing, you'll scarf down anything that isn't fish.
And yeah, the 50 crystals one was just crazy as fuck. Like, I think that it's crazy to see how much damage you can deal in that game. Like with the freaking, like when you max out, like everybody maxes out Dylan and uses full swing, like, and then you see just 2 million damage just appear on the screen, and you're just like, holy shit. Like, the only other game that you could think of that would do something like that would be Disgaea. Pretty much. But that's what I like about Valkyrie 2, like the feeling of empowerment when you do grind.
Yes, I do. I've seen them before. They're cute.
There's nothing in the world cuter than a cat.
You're cute too, man.
I should never have dropped my guard.
But ultimately, super bosses are very difficult to really judge as to what's the most difficult. I don't know, really. Right, what do I need for this? We need some lemon and some spring water. I see. Yeah, I think I can get that from the shop in town. That should be easy enough. But yeah, there were a few things that I wanted to talk about in this
Where are the
stream.
signets of yours missing?
Oh, I see. You don't believe me, huh? I've got him on my back.
Speaking from a purely academic standpoint, and with only the most noble and rational of intentions, certain people want to know more about them.
Nice try.
Yeah, Gabriel. Yeah, I never like I say, I just fought him on normal. Like I never beat him with the limiter off. But yeah, I think this is where the story is. But yeah, I wanted to talk about a few things that I did, and like particularly Star Ocean 2. Like I think I'm gonna have to maybe I kind of need to do another review of that game. But I'll only do another review of that game if they release the game on PlayStation Store, because I don't have a way of playing that game. Like I don't have a way of recording and screen capping that game on the what do you call it, on the PSP. So I need to get it on PS4. It'll be so much easier. But yeah, that's one article that I really should redo. But yeah, there's a few articles that I really want to redo besides that. Like, well, there's a lot of articles that I regret. Like, probably one of the worst reviews I made, like, was probably Warhammer 40k Space Marine, mainly because I never finished it. It's the only review that I did that I never finished. I talked a bit too much about the multiplayer as well, so yeah, that's a game that I kind of regret not reviewing. And there's some other articles that I did were terrible. I did another article as well, which was on puzzles, and it was so brief that I could have gone into more detail. And I've read a lot of really crappy articles in my time looking back, and I'd love to be able to, like, in terms of certain videos, I don't know, like, I've done a lot of crappy videos, and I've only just started to try and do some better ones. So yeah, the review that I regret the most, and that's why I wanted to talk about the reviews that I regret. And the review that I regret the most is probably Warhammer 40k Space Marine, because that review was absolutely terrible. In case you're wondering what I'm talking about the articles that I wrote on Destructoid. That's what I'm talking about, in case you don't know. But yes, there's quite a few reviews that were just really crap that I did, and some of them I've redone already, but some of them I haven't. Like, one crap review that I did was, I think I did a pretty crappy review of Tales of Graces. I know I did a crappy review of Star Ocean 2, and I also did a pretty crappy review of, I think my Star Ocean Till the End of Time review wasn't brilliant either. That's another review that I didn't do very well at. Shadow Hearts could have been a bit better, maybe. My review of it, of course, and Painkiller Home Damnation. So yeah, those are probably the worst reviews I've ever done, including Warhammer 40k Space Marine. I wanted to just get that off my chest because, like, just talking about that is something I've wanted to do. Yeah, I did the after story of Tales of Graces. I did the future arc as well, but it's just a review that I regretted doing, and that's one thing that I wanted to talk about. And I think what I want to talk about next is multiple endings and playthroughs. Like, as someone who's played like a lot of Trius games, like the whole idea of multiple endings and all that lot, like, I kind of find that multiple endings in games don't really add much to the game to me. Like, and a lot of Trius games do it, so it might sound quite silly, but I think the fact that I'm a Trius fan is kind of part of the reason why I'm not a big fan of multiple endings, because I know what to expect. It's just like, I'd rather just get a simple, straightforward ending than have to replay the game just to get a specific ending. And, like, Valve Profile 1 kind of had that problem with the multiple endings, and it's just like, it should have just had the A ending, because it is the best ending, and it's the ending that you want to get. So really, I don't really like multiple playthroughs and endings usually. I don't mind replaying games when I like them, but I hate it when games force you to play through it again, especially just to get specific endings. I mean, aside from games like Nier Automata, where they change it, I don't like having multiple endings in my games. I just want to get the full game, the story in the full game. I don't mind little things that you can get from replaying the game, but big things, I don't want to have to replay an entire game for something big. So, yeah. That's something that I really don't want to have to do. And unfortunately, that usually turns out to be a thing that... Yeah, I'm gonna level up my new specialty. I've got fishing and cooking. Cooking's the most important though, so I'm gonna level that up a bit. I might level up fishing a bit. But, yeah, that's the thing, like... The thing about it is that with multiple playthroughs, and why I think that games that do it... I'm just going to check my quests actually. What quests have we got? Yeah, like, look, to me, I find that it all depends on how engaged the player is. Oh, hang on, I can actually hand this in already. But when it comes to multiple playthroughs, it's all about... It only works for me if you are 100% engaged at the end of the game. If I'm 100% engaged by the game, like, I'm really, really into it by the end, then, yeah, I'd be all for replaying it, but if I'm not 100% engaged, I don't want to replay your game. I want to move on. And that's kind of the annoying thing with certain games that, like, try and get you to replay them. And, like, engagement can go down for pretty much any reason, so I find that games that have multiple endings are taking a massive risk. They're like, the player has to be 100% engaged, or they will be turned off from it and they won't replay our game. That's basically what you've got to look at when you do multiple endings. And I think the way Star Ocean does it with the multiple character pairing endings are fine, because, like, it's like you're not getting important plot points from it. But in Valk Profile was the worst offender for this, because it's part of the reason why I like 2 better, because the multiple endings were I just didn't like the fact that you had to get the A ending, and it was so hard to get the A ending. You had to literally use a guide to get the A ending, which was really annoying. Like, I don't want to have to use a guide to get an ending. I want to just get the ending which I get at the end of the game. Well, I haven't played Final Fantasy X-2 to be honest. Well, 10-2. Oh no, I thought you meant 13-2 actually. Yeah, I have played that. I don't know, like, I didn't really care much for the story of that game anyways, so, like, I really couldn't give a shit. I only give a shit when the story's going somewhere, and it was going somewhere in Valk Profile. And the fact that the ending, like, the best ending took forever to get was just a pain in the neck. Like, it's just like, it really sucks when you're really into a story and then suddenly you feel like, oh, hang on a minute, the story is, like, the ending's not good. Like, I expected a better ending than this. Oh, there's another ending? No wonder people like this game, but I kind of don't feel like playing the game anymore, because I've been there, done it, if that makes sense. Right. I assume this is a new weapon. Stormblade. What's this? Right. I hope that's good. Yeah, that'll be handy. That'll be very handy. I'll get a few of these.
What a masterpiece.
And mixer, it's handy. Which one's this one? Oh, that seems interesting. I kind of forgot what that does actually. Aha, that's nice. Can always use one of those. I actually want to make a few of these actually. Right, let's go back to the thing so I can see that. Yeah, I wasn't really too big of a fan of Final Fantasy X story, to be honest. Like, I didn't mind the gameplay, but the story didn't really do much for me. And the 10-2 was just ridiculous. So, really, that's what I expected from it. Yeah. Yeah, apparently you had to talk to everyone to get the better ending in it. Like, quote the story. I didn't say I could quote the story, but I wasn't too keen on the story. Quote the story, I'd probably say, whiny brat tries to save the world, but only ends up being a nuisance. Something like that. What was that all about? But yeah, I wasn't too big of a fan of. Well, that's basically what I would say about Final Fantasy X. It's whiny brat tries to save the world, but fails because he's a nuisance. And basically what I would say. Whiny brat trying to be a hero. Probably. Oh no, I've got an idea. 30 hours of pure hell. Probably like 30 hours of whiny Tidus. That would probably be the best way to describe Final Fantasy X. 30 hours of whiny Tidus. But other than that, yeah, I wasn't too keen on it personally. I could see why people would like it though, but it just wasn't for me. But yeah, that's just my view on it. The ending of Final Fantasy X was basically Tidus ends up being a dream, and the last boss is Yu Yevon. As for Final Fantasy X-2, like, it's kind of like they think Tidus is back, and it turns out it isn't. It's Shuyan, and he's the final boss. Pretty much. Like, most of it was basically Grandia 2. Pretty much, Grandia 2 all over again, like, evil religion trying to manipulate the world, and you have to stop them. And then, turns out that the religion's a farce, and then you have to fight against the religion by killing Sin, but at the same time Sin's still there, so you have to find a new way. That's basically the gist of the story, and Tidus is among it. Pretty much, that's what the story was about. Like I say, I could actually quote the entire game and just say Grandia 2, but worse. Like, Grandia 2 had some really strong characters that really made the story even better because you got attached to those characters. Whereas in Final Fantasy X, like, you kind of didn't as much. At least I didn't. But, like, Grandia 2 was just an amazing game. It's one of my favourites JRPGs of all time is Grandia 2, so kind of biased, but like the story is very much the same thing as that. That's basically the plot, really. Like, you end up in this world and Sin attacks the world, and then you end up having to stop Sin, and you follow the religion until the religion turns out to be a farce and all this shit. It's like Sin is basically the same as freaking Valmar from Grandia 2. Like, Tidus, the whole idea of Tidus being a dream was basically... Well, I think they did it because... Like, I need to remember a bit why they did that, but it was kind of a way to make... Like, I think it represented sacrifice, that was it. Someone actually mentioned it on Destructoid, but the whole idea was sacrifice. And it was like, yeah, Tidus had to sacrifice himself to change things. That was basically it. Not that that mattered to me, because I didn't really count for Tidus at all, so... Yeah, but it was supposed to have an impact. Didn't have any impact on me, because I was glad that he died. But, yeah. It was... I just found that Grandia 2 just did it better. Well, it might not have had the sacrifice idea, but I still think that Grandia 2 did a lot of things right. In the sense that it was more about people and, like, working together rather than, like, isolating themselves in their own beliefs. That's what it was mainly all about. It was a bit different in that sense in the focus, but the plot was still basically the same thing. Pretty much. That was a nice hit there, and I can use this to deal even more damage. Look at that, they're all in the perfect position for Seraphic Thunder right here. There we go. Yeah, pretty much. That's what Final Fantasy X was to me. I think Final Fantasy X ruined itself even more with its, like, when they did that annoying thing in the remake where they changed, like, they added that extra side story, which, like, they really milked that game, and they've milked it so much that they kind of destroyed it, like, Warcraft style, like, a bit like how World of Warcraft kind of ruined Warcraft, like, that's kind of what that side story kind of did to Final Fantasy X. It's like, you can't take it seriously anymore. But yeah, I'm not a big fan of 10 really, and looking back. I wish I could say I was, but I don't mind the combat, but yeah. Final Fantasy VII was a completely different story altogether. That was basically Sephiroth, like, it was basically about an environmental, like, the environment is at risk because Shinra's abusing it for power and energy, for Mako power, and you had to stop them. Meanwhile, Sephiroth was around, and you had to stop him, and all that lot. Yeah, that story kind of didn't really connect well together, the whole environmental thing of Shinra, and Sephiroth. But then eventually, when Crisis Core came out, it kind of made more sense. Like, Final Fantasy, like, I can see why Crisis Core was kind of needed after Final Fantasy VII, but after Crisis Core, a lot of things make sense. It was basically all based around Shinra. Like, Hojo was the real bad guy of Final Fantasy VII because he was the guy doing all the crazy experiments, turning everyone into monsters in the first place, which caused all the freaking shit to begin with. And, like, Shinra were also to blame for basically allowing him to do all this. So, that's basically what Final Fantasy VII was all about. It's all about how it was wrong to misuse it. It was basically about humanity and its flaws because of its desire for knowledge and things, and how your desire for knowledge can lead you to do evil things. Like, not intentionally, but you end up doing evil things as a result. Like, Hojo was actually the main villain. Like, he was the guy who was behind everything. They didn't build on him much, but if it wasn't for Hojo, none of it would have happened. He was pretty much the central villain of all of the Final Fantasy VII type games, because he was the guy who basically created Sephiroth and Jenova. If it wasn't for him, Sephiroth and Jenova wouldn't have been what they were. Like, Shinra were trying to get, they were trying to monopolize on power and energy, and they wanted the knowledge that would give them a monopoly in terms of their, like, industry, but all they ended up doing was screwing everybody up, like screwing up the world, because they were damaging the environment and also performing experiments that were wrong, which is a bit like Tales of the Abyss with Jade. Like, Hojo's in the same thing, but Jade is kind of like regretful of it. Hojo kind of isn't. And Jenova was kind of created in a way by Hojo. Hojo was the person who made Jenova evil in the first place, because he kind of made them into monsters. And the reason why he did that was so that he could experiment to see how Mako energy or something could affect people and make them stronger. And, like, they were just obsessive with power to the point that they wanted more knowledge, they wanted more power at the expense of everything. And they weren't even thinking, they had no consideration for it. It's a bit like the UAC in Doom, pretty much. That's how I see the whole thing. It's like, Shinra were basically a company that were looking to monopolize on as much as they possibly could, and in doing so they caused a lot of harm for the world. And, like, Hojo was working for them as a researcher, and they looked at what he was doing as helpful and would help them, but it was a selfish thing, because with what Hojo was doing, it was actually causing a lot of problems. Yeah, well, when you play Final Fantasy VII and you go to Nibelheim, I call it Nibelheim. When you go to Nibelheim and you go to the mansion and you see that giant pod at the back of the mansion, that's Jenova's pod. And that mansion is where Hojo did all of his experiments. And Jenova was at the top. And when Sephiroth saw Jenova was a monster, that's when he kind of went mad, because he found out that he was a monster as well. And the person that made Jenova a monster was Hojo. And if you think about it, that's basically what happened. maybe it's a different thing. Maybe
It's done.
it's not always that way. Maybe there was more to it, but that's how I saw it at least. I think Hojo kind of made things worse though. Like you can kind of see that he did. Like he definitely didn't do any good. Let's put it that way. Hojo was definitely misusing Jenova for his own experiments, and it was his experiment on Jenova that caused him to make Sephiroth evil in the first place. But yeah, maybe Jenova was an alien, but like, even if Jenova was, like, Hojo is still kind of the primary villain of the game timeline-wise because he brought Jenova back, if that makes sense. Like, yeah, well, he shouldn't have unsealed Jenova. Like, that was the evil thing that he did. Like, unsealing Jenova is very bad, and that's what caused all the problems. If he didn't unseal Jenova, everything would have been fine. But he did. And mainly because of how selfish Shinra was. But I suppose you see, if you look at the large scope, then yes, Jenova is probably the main villain, but like, in the scope of what Final Fantasy VII was trying to be, the main villain was pretty much Hojo for bringing it back. In a way. It's just like, we don't know enough about Jenova to see what Jenova's intents were, other than it was an alien that was trying to destroy the world, much like the final boss of Shadow Hearts was. But yeah, maybe Jenova was manipulating him, but I never really saw any evidence to prove that. Like, I don't know, I can't play Xenogears because it's not released over here, but even if it does, like, Xenogears and Final Fantasy VII are completely different games. So what happens in Xenogears isn't exactly what happens in Final Fantasy VII. Maybe Xenogears could have been somewhat similar to Final Fantasy VII, but it seems that even in Dirge of Cerberus, Hojo was still a bit fucked up. Well, I really don't know enough about Xenogears to really say anything on that, to be honest, because I haven't played it. But I'm basically just saying what I assumed of Final Fantasy VII's story. It is a very complicated story. Like, and I can't really talk about all of it, but from what I saw, that's who I saw as the main bad guy, because of what was going on. Like, I think Jenova alone wasn't enough to cause all the shit that happened in Final Fantasy VII. Like, Jenova did cause a lot of shit, definitely. But I think, especially when you consider Crisis Core and Dirge of Cerberus, Hojo did a lot of fucked up things in general, not just in Final Fantasy VII. Like, Jenova really didn't have any influence in Dirge of Cerberus, whereas Hojo kind of did. Like, I suppose Jenova was still an influence in some way, but, like, Jenova was kind of past it in a way at that point, and it was focused on something completely different, but Hojo was still kind of evil. Like, I don't know if you actually kill Jenova in Final Fantasy VII at the end, when you defeat, like, the final boss, but, like, I assume you do. Maybe you don't, I don't know, but if you do kill Jenova, then technically Hojo's kind of not being manipulated by Jenova because he's still raving mad in Dirge of Cerberus. So it depends on what you think. Like, it depends on a lot of things and how you see it. Like, if every game was like Xenogears, it would get, the whole idea of Xenogears would get pretty dry. Like, the whole thing about storytelling is that it's all different, and there's always got to be room for new possibilities. I need to remember what quests I have to do. I'm gonna see if there's any quests that I can do down here, because sometimes I miss out a few quests down here. But if I can't find any quests down here, then I will go back to do something else. But yeah, I never played Xenogears, pretty much. I never got a chance to do that, because it was never released over here. But yeah, I mean, it seems to be very crazy with what I've seen of it with having all these mechs and stuff.
I'm watching you.
You're watching me, are you? Eesh, it's so tough being a handsome man. So, did you find anything out from watching me?
I found that you're smirking.
Sorry for being such a good boy.
But yeah, it probably does. I've heard a lot of good things about Xenogears, and like I say, I don't really consider Hojo to be a very good villain. I don't really consider him to be, but I considered him at the time to be the big bad guy of the whole lot. But as for him being a good villain, I can't really say. Like, I don't know whether he's a good villain or not. I really can't say. Like, I don't really care much for him at all as a villain. Like, there's so many better villains out there than Hojo. Hojo's just a raving maniac. There's also a Hojo in Shadow Hearts Covenant as well, that does something very similar and plays a very similar role. Like, I'm not really sure what it's all about, but yeah. That was kind of interesting when they brought him there, but yeah. Xenogears had Jenova? That's odd. Didn't know that. I feel like I'm Metal Jesus rocks for a day. I didn't know that. But yeah, I honestly don't know. Like, I have no idea what was going on in Xenogears. And I don't know what happened with the script if it was in Xenogears and not Final Fantasy VII. I really need to know more. Tell me more. Why did it not end up in Final Fantasy VII? Oh, so you basically mean that it was a character that was very much like Jenova, is that what you're saying? And it wasn't exactly Jenova, it was just basically a character like Jenova, or, like, is that what you're saying? Or did it actually have Jenova, the Jenova, in it? But I don't know. Like, I haven't played the game. Ah, like Jenova, yeah. Well, I assume that doesn't surprise me. Pretty much. It's like Shadow Hearts kind of had something like Jenova in it, and like Hojo, but they didn't really go much into it. It wasn't really focused on them. Yeah. There's a Sephiroth in a lot of games. Like, I can think of one off the top of my head. Chaos Legion. There's a Sephiroth. But yeah. Regardless, like, don't think Xenogears will be coming out in my country for a while yet. There's a lot of games that I do want to play that weren't released in the UK. Radiata Stories is one of them. That's the first one on the list. I want that to be played. Oh, for some reason I'm playing as Fidel. I don't know why. Yeah, I'm sticking with Emerson because it's chill. I want to chill on the back and just deal with them with like long range hits. But I don't mind going in close with him as well. Oh, it's got bitch slap there. No, Xenogears isn't on the DS, all I know. I think Xenogears on the PS1. Oh, you're thinking of Radiant Historia, not Radiata Stories. Radiata Stories was a game made by Tri-Ace. Radiant Historia wasn't. It was by Atlas, I think, or something. I don't know. Atlas was behind it. I think Atlas might have published it. But Radiata Stories is on PS2. It's an RPG on PS2, so which was region locked, so I can't play it. So Radiant Historia is on DS. You probably got confused with that. Radiata Stories is, like I say, it's by Tri-Ace. It's the PS2 game. It's the game that they did right after Star Ocean Until the End of Time, pretty much. It was basically between Valve Clubhouse 2 and Star Ocean Until the End of Time. It kind of filled in that gap. So it looks interesting. I want to play it, but it's probably my most anticipated game. Aside from Bannerlord, it's my most anticipated game, even though it's not coming out, if that makes sense. Right, so there's nothing really down here. But I wanted to come around here anyway, just to make sure there was something to do. And I do need some experience and levels anyway, so I'm all for coming down here just to get some. So, yeah. That's basically what I meant by Radii Stories. And there's also Baten Kaitos Origins. That's another game that I really want to play. But, because the first Baten Kaitos was really good. Unfortunately, we never got the sequel Baten Kaitos, so, which is a shame. It's another great game that did a lot of stuff right. That completely missed. Right, I suppose I'll just... yeah, I'll hit him with that. Well... Blizzard is in it, yeah, but there's a lot of reasons actually. Another reason why is simply because you have tons and tons of party members, and I like games where you have tons and tons of party members. Like Infinite Discovery tried to do the same thing as well, but you couldn't play as them. Like it's a bit like Suikoden in that sense, and Chrono Cross, that sort of thing. That interests me. Yeah, I said Baten Kaitos. That's what I was talking about. We never got Baten Kaitos Origins. We got Baten Kaitos Eternal Wings and Lost Ocean, which was the first game. We didn't get this. We didn't get the prequel. That's basically the gist of it. In case you're wondering. But yeah, Radii Stories I want to play the most. It's pretty much one of the few Trios games that I haven't played yet, pretty much. Yeah, Baten Kaitos is really good. It's really quirky. It's got my second favourite soundtrack in a JRPG. So, that's something. But, like as I say, it's very much like Valkyrie Profile 2 in a lot of ways, in a lot of its qualities. But, it's a bit different from Valkyrie Profile 2, and it tries a lot of really cool ideas, and I really like it. It's quirky, but in a good way. God, I'm gonna go for Fidel for this one because I really can't do much with Emerson when he's fogged. So I'm just gonna go with Fidel. Fidel's pretty easy to do that with as well, so just that. But oh yeah, GameCube was a legendary console. I missed that console. Well, I still have it, but obviously, like, I miss when games were released for it because it had so many great games on there. A lot of my favourite games are on the GameCube, and Baten Kaitos is one of them. That game's pretty awesome. Like, I really do wish that I got Baten Kaitos Origins. Oh, an arcade GameCube. The only arcade GameCube game I know of is F-Zero AX. That's it. I don't know what, like, you're saying that there was an arcade version of Baten Kaitos? Because I don't know, like, I know there's an arcade version of F-Zero GX, which is my second favourite game of all time, but I don't know if there is a arcade version of, like, Baten Kaitos. That sounds pretty interesting. Like, an arcade RPG. Like, that would be insane, like, playing an RPG on the arcades. Like, you have to constantly put in quarters and that lot. Ah, demo GameCube, I see. Yeah, I see. So, I don't know what the whole $300 rare thing's about, though. Like, what's that all about? If it's just a GameCube on display that you try out, then what makes it so expensive? Oh yeah, I played on one of those at a games conference in the UK. It was a crappy games conference as well, so there's no point talking about it, but I played on one of those. And it did have Mario Sunshine in it as well. But yeah, I kind of know what you mean, but I don't really know what made it so expensive. Like, a GameCube isn't that expensive. The games are expensive on it, but I'm not sure about the console. At least from what I know, maybe they are expensive. And I'm just because I haven't really played GameCube like, well, I have, but not played on. I have not looked at the GameCubes on eBay, so I won't know how expensive they are. Like, I can't imagine them being Neo Geo prices. I imagine them being the same prices as, like, our GameCubes, like regular GameCubes. Yeah. Anyways, I'm probably going to go back to Rezulia, and I might call that a stream after that, because it's been like 3 hours of pure streaming. Nearly. So yeah, I'm gonna probably go all the way back, and then I might call it. But yeah, I think I've said everything that I need to say about it, like talking about multiple endings and stuff. But yeah, in case you're all wondering, I do have a website, and I do a lot of content on my website as well. So if you don't see me making videos, that's probably what I'll be doing. Yes, I played Final Fantasy VI. I played it on the PlayStation because we got it on the PlayStation. So yeah, I played that game. Yeah, what I'm saying is that so if for whatever reason you see that I'm not really uploading videos, I'm probably writing an article instead. That's probably why. So you can find my blog. There's a link to my blog in the comments section. It's Cynical Gaming Blog at WordPress.com. You can see it there. And I'm currently doing a review at the moment, and it'll be up on the 20th of June. So if you want to check out that review, then you can go on my website to check it out. But until then, probably won't be a few streams. Well, probably won't be a stream for a while coming from me. I don't know, but like there'll probably be a bit less content coming until around September, where I might be starting to do some content. But we'll see when I can get the content done at that point, because when I get to September, I'm gonna start focusing playing on games like Nier Automata again, and then I can really start getting back to it. Until then, I might do some more streams. I don't know, but it's an if and when sort of thing. But like, there is a review coming. I've scheduled it, and there's also some Painkiller that I'm going to be recording as well. That's the Let's Play that I'm doing, and that's definitely in the workings. I've already got them recorded, and I'm going to upload them. There's probably going to be the next video things that I'm going to be doing. So I haven't actually played the original Nier. I'm thinking of maybe getting it, because they're bringing it back. They're remaking it, aren't they? Well, not remaking, but they're bringing it back on PS4. So when it comes back out on PS4, I might pick it up then. That's probably what I'm going to do with Nier. But like, I haven't played the original, unfortunately. But I played Nier Automata, obviously. That's what I decided to go to, because it was the newest one. So yeah, that's basically the gist of it. And I've got the next 2 levels of Painkiller done. As for other videos, like I really haven't gotten about to doing any big like video content. It's mostly article content that I've been working on recently. So I do apologise for that, but if you do want to see that, like more review content and that lot, or certain articles that I feel like writing rather than recording, then you probably want to head over to my website, because a lot of the content that's on here will end up on the website anyways. So aside from like the Let's Play Painkiller probably won't be on the website until really later, but that's where all my content is, because YouTube to me is basically a side gig for the website, as a lot of the stuff that I talk about in these streams is valid to what my website's all about anyways, and I think that it's important to have some video content. But yeah, that doesn't mean that I'm going to try not to neglect video content though, and I want to really focus on doing streams, because the video content I've been doing, I think streams seem to work the best. Like, I seem to get the most out of these streams than all the rest of the videos that I make. And for the rest, I seem to prefer to just write articles, because I'm used to that. So there might be more articles and less videos, but I'm not sure. I have some raw footage that I can use in certain, like, maybe use in certain videos, but I'm not sure. Like, the thing about it is with videos is I'm not sure if I want to carry on with the theory crafting. I'm actually not sure anymore, because I'm not really sure if people really want that anymore. Like, I'm thinking on my YouTube channel to keep it very simple and basic and focus on the streams. Maybe do some, like, not exactly let's plays, but short plays of games. Maybe not stream them, but like just record them. And maybe have some. I might do the occasional topic, maybe bring theory crafting back, but it's like an if and when sort of thing. Like, because I'm not really sure how the commentary, like how to really properly do commentary for stuff like that. Like, I'm very rambly in my videos, whereas when I'm doing commentary for that, it's just that I have to do it off a script, and if I'm going to do it off a script, I might as well write it. That's how I find that. But a lot of it is general stuff, and I think that's where I kind of have the problem with that content. And also, it's just a lot of, like, there's a limit to how much I could do of it, because I don't really know enough to really make it a big thing. So I'm really starting to think about what I could possibly do for the future of the channel. Like, my review content and articles and stuff will stay on my website, because I think it's just better to format them. I always prefer to format my reviews on them via writing than actually recording them. But if anyone has any ideas of content that I want to do, maybe top 10 content that I could do top 10 lists or something. Like, I don't like watching channels that focus all exclusively on top 10s, and that's the thing, I don't even know if people really want that. I could do that, but it's like whatever people want, really, that's what it's all about. So I don't know what people want. If people want that, then I might actually give it a go. But I don't think people really want to hear me rambling about things that, like, I don't think that's my audience anyways. It doesn't seem to be. But ultimately, that sort of content is probably going to be more few and far between now, and I might start to try to do something else video-wise. In other words, I don't really have a plan with my videos anymore. Like, I'm really starting to wonder where to go next with the videos, whereas my articles I kind of have a plan for, but video-wise, I'm not exactly sure where to go from here on out. I really am not. Like, I'm starting to wonder what the best thing would be to do, and what people actually want to see. Because I don't want to waste time doing something that nobody wants, if that makes sense. And while I'll still be doing these streams, that's definitely something that I'm definitely going to do, but it's just like regular video content.
When research calls, eat all 3 meals in one go.
Who'd you
Like,
get that from?
and that's the thing, I don't know what people want, so if you could give me some advice, that'd be really handy. Since I really don't know where to go from here. Like, I could carry on doing Let's Plays. I don't see the value in Let's Plays, but I can carry on doing them, I suppose. I'm thinking of doing quicker plays so that I don't have to play for the entire game. Like, I had an idea of that, but like, I don't know if that's valuable to people. What would be valuable to you guys? What would be valuable to the audience? What do people want? Because, like, I know that if I were to do my own content, it would attract a new audience that
You don't look like you have.
With such tight clothes,
want, like, and I don't think that you guys really want the sort of content that I've been making. So I need something that can work for everyone. And that's ultimately what I'm looking for, really, at the moment. So really, with the future videos, it's kind of a, like, I don't know where to go from here, basically, on regular videos. So really, after Painkiller, it might just be streams until I can figure out a good way of getting things done. And the streams means that I won't be doing much content, really, on my channel. And since a lot of people would rather watch my videos than read my articles, and I can understand why, it just feels like I'm leaving a lot of people out. But I do want people to understand that why I'm doing that, because it's I personally enjoy writing the most over doing videos, but doing these streams is fun. I like doing them, and that's the thing that I really do like about this, and that's why I'm going to keep doing these streams, because I get a lot out of these streams, so I really like doing them, and I hope that you guys get a lot out of them as well. So I'm definitely keeping these, but ultimately it's just a case of finding other things to do on my channel, which I don't know what people want. So hopefully I can think of something, and maybe, like, as I say, because I've still got Painkiller to do, I might go to another Let's Play. I don't know yet. It depends. But, like, I definitely want to focus on getting Painkiller out there. Definitely want to focus on doing that. So, yeah, the channel might seem a bit pointless at the moment, but I'm hoping to mix things up with these streams, as I like to have the discussions, and these streams seem to be working for that. So I'm definitely going to focus on that. And as for the other things, I'm probably going to, like, the Let's Plays are going to be still trying to be, like, as informative as I possibly can, and trying to be, like, well, it depends on what it is. Like, the Painkiller Let's Play is still going to be like that. So, yeah, that's basically the gist of it. That's what I'm going to be doing on YouTube, and it's my website. It's still going to be reviews. I'm going to focus a lot on reviews now, because I've done a lot of articles, so I really need to really work hard on those reviews. It's going to take a while, but I want to really make them as good as I possibly can. Yeah, the carved footpath, that's where we need to go, but I'm probably going to call it for now, because yeah, there's a lot that I'm going to need to do, and I've got a lot done today, not story-wise, but side-quest wise. So yeah, and in terms of, like,
That's because I've lived so long.
and it's like, I find that the conversations that I've had today have been really good. So I'm really glad that you've all come over here and watched this. It means a lot. And as for JRPG, if you're still watching, like, regardless of what happens with the stream, I hope that I can make it to your stream. But, like, we'll see. Like, hopefully I'll be able to make it to his stream. Hopefully I'm not sleeping when he's doing it. But yes, I'm going to call it a day. I think I've covered a lot in this stream, and I think it's been a very valuable stream. So, yeah. Thanks, guys, for turning up, and thanks for the discussions, because that's what it's all about. Getting everyone to discuss, and talking about recent news and other things, and things that are on my mind. So, yeah. So, yes, thanks, guys, for coming along, and I'll see you next time.